We head back to the trenches this week with Paul Gross's 2008 Great War epic, Passchendaele. As always, I'm joined by Mike A.
Hello.
Mike B.
Yes, sir.
Nate.
Please, God, make it stop. Never let Paul Gross direct a film in his entire life ever fucking again.
And this week's special guest, ex-Canadian, friend of the channel, and fellow YouTuber, Savonius K.
Hello.
Or fucking be in his own movie as the main star and then direct it at the same time. Because how the fuck could you know what the fuck you're doing with the goddamn fucking film? This thing is a piece of fucking trash. I'm launching into it again. Okay?
Paul Gross is a Renaissance man.
I have what?
Shit?
A Rayman? Like, Jesus. Like,
Paul Gross is a man's man. He knows how to do it all.
Yeah, and at least nobody in this movie had gross spray paint beard.
At least this time, for the love of God, he had a cinematographer that actually was okay. Thank Christ. Because if I saw another GoPro mounted wall studded fucking piece of shit shot, I just did a Mike Birch there. Fucking, it would just be.
You did. I'm proud of you.
I will mention this. If for any of those listening, if you have not heard our review of the other Paul Gross masterpiece, Hyena Road, which is a Canadian war film about the global war on terror, please listen to that, and you can get our understanding of our respect for this esteemed director. And because this is kind of a two-part story.
I'd rather put my dick in a fucking meat slicer than watch any more fucking shit from Paul Gross ever. Fucking.
At least Pauly Wally's a great actor.
Pauly Wally.
So.
Well, he's a great actor, right? That's right. He's a man of many talents.
He's got 17 inches ready to go.
Yeah.
Cold hard
17 inches of steel.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if I measure my 1907 bayonet that's sitting right in front of me, because I'm too lazy to do it right now, I'm pretty sure it's not 17.
It is a 17.2 inch blade.
0.2.
17.2.
Fuck you, Devin.
All about that 0.2. You know?
Commonwealth.
So
fucking.
Do we round up? Do we make it 18? Is that the rule of the world?
Well, what do you do in Canada? Wait, do you round down or round up?
Well,
if it's about length, you round up.
But Nathan, you're not a Canadian.
I'm just
Let
saying.
the Canadian talk.
It depends on the maker. The average is 17.2, but you can get up to 17 and a half, and you can get as low as 16 and a half, and then the Indian pattern ones are only 12.
Okay, so
he wasn't variants.
He wasn't incorrect because Paul probably was like, he probably saw it and it was like, God damn, this is so cool. Let me measure this and throw it into a fucking shitty line shitty 2 lines in my film.
I had to shove a 6 and 16 blade in some kid's forehead. Okay.
Yeah, and you did what with it?
And he just repeats what he said.
You did? Yeah. And then I shoved into his forehead.
It just went right into it like his forehead wasn't hard at all. You know?
Well, yeah, okay. Okay, so Nate, you've done your opening This is, by the way,
I just started. I didn't even finish.
Hold on. So this is a disclaimer for people listening. This is not going to be an overtly positive review from the vibe I'm getting. So
you know that scene with a printer in Office Space? Back up in your ass with the reservation. Die, motherfucker, die.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was I don't usually message the people that are on the pod, but I messaged Brian earlier and I was like, oh my God, this is worse than I remember. Because I've seen this over a decade ago, and I was probably like 7 shades of fucked up watching this on Netflix on my buddy's 55-inch TV. And I was even at that point like, God, this is a piece of shit. And now I watch it, I'm like, oh my God. Like, how in the fuck did this make money?
All right, hold on. I got to pull that. Hold on. Keep going.
There's an ass for every seat.
I'm doing.
You're going to look up the numbers right now.
I thought I did.
I just looked up the numbers, but I'm going to wait for Nate.
Wait for Nate. Holy fuck. TikTok, Clarice.
You know,
I'm going as fast
Mike
as
was
I can.
like, did you watch this movie? And I was like, I actually have the Blu-ray. I've never opened it. And I went to go open it, and it literally had a sticker that said $1.
Yeah, you got it in the Walmart bin?
Something like that, yeah.
Was it worth the $1?
No. Not even.
Was it even in a plastic case, or was it in like a paper sleeve?
No, it was like a nice one that came with like, it still had like the cellophane around it. And it was.
Oh yeah.
Well, because it never sold.
Yeah. So can
Holy
you tell it had like 5 stickers
shit.
on the cellophane?
Yeah, see, yeah, that's right. Exactly, Nate. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Nate.
Holy crap!
I saw his eyes.
What's the numbers, Nate?
Am I right? Is this right?
That's what I saw.
20 million and it only grossed 4?
Yeah.
It cost 20 mil and they
20
lost 16.
million?
Yeah.
Right.
How in the fuck was he still in business after
How
that?
did he get another film?
That's what
Oh, dude, the industry's full of failures.
Well,
Don't
it
worry
took him
about that,
7
but-
years to do another one.
Notice
And it was
how he hasn't
worse.
made another one since Hyena Road. Thank Christ.
Yeah, because like
Did it-
this was 2008. Hyena Road was 2015, so it took him a little while to get out of movie jail.
He's massively
Jesus
in debt.
Christ.
Movie jail.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Like
Massively in
I
debt.
I don't like shitting on people's work because I mean this is what this whole podcast is about. But I don't like shitting on people's work like insultingly. This makes me fucking angry when I fucking watch his work. It's just thank Christ there was a cinematographer. At least the shots were actually good. The story, the writing, complete dog shit. And the best line is actually a Canadian phrase, eh? And then followed up with, "Would you want to put a foreign substance in me?" Which
What the fuck was that?
I had to
That's in the movie.
I had to rewind it, and Molly's like, "Did she really say that?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like,
And like you sent on the group
Was that
chat,
Canadian courtship, Devin?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's usually about
Would you
how
like
it
to
works.
would you like to ingest a foreign body into me? Why, yes, sir, I would. I will meet you at the bathhouse.
That-
And while I
Is that
would be obliged,
well, they were talking about
because-
shrapnel wounds entering the body.
Yes.
That was
I mean,
that
yeah.
was her fucking like 180 pivot to a hit me. Clip.
Yep, and then it gets into that, and it's like,
To be, yeah, I mean, would bang, but like, yeah, that was.
oh yeah,
pretty-
absolutely. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah,
The dialogue was absolute horseshit,
it was ass.
and I think
That's being very nice.
that's
Nathan,
being
in my
nice.
opinion.
I have seen to reference last week. I've seen Jackie Chan movies with better fucking dialogue. Okay,
Okay, so the dialogue
Dubbed
sucks
dubbed
itself,
movies.
but the delivery makes it 10 times worse.
It's very cringe, yeah.
yeah, there's not any good acting.
When I charge the Germans, I like to gremlin grunt all the way to the front line too. By the way,
When I shoot a Lewis gun, I stand on top of it.
that
and
is
just
the
shoot.
only thing. The only thing that saves this fucking film is it had a full auto Lewis. Only thing.
And because I don't want to shit on everything, because I mean things do have good things. I was a little bit impressed by the Passchendaele set, like later on where it was all raining and all the shells and stuff. That was okay, whatever. But that's
You
not
can buy a
an
lot
idiot.
for
That's the
20
guy they
million, by
paid.
the way.
Exactly. Yeah, that was set design.
But also, here's the thing: is what is the title of the film?
Passchendaele, and it's like 20 minutes.
It's
Of the movie.
maybe I don't know exactly
It's
how
2
long.
lines.
Yeah.
At the end of the film, it's "We took Passchendaele." Like what?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
wow.
it's just like Hacksaw Ridge. It's like this movie's built up to just the ending. Yeah.
How far away was the village from the Crossman thing that happened at the end? Like,
So
you know?
so the Germans
I don't
had
know.
Passchendaele. Passchendaele was just behind the German lines in real life. It was about a mile or 2 back. So the battlefield took place outside of the town, and the Canadians ended up taking the town, and then like a couple weeks later, Operation Michael just fucking swept everyone back out of the town. So it was kind of, you know, as a patriot, it's revered as one of the best like Canadian victories of all time. But it's like, well, then they got pushed out by a bunch of starving people with like shitty equipment, and it was like easy as hell to get the Canadians back out of the town, and it was kind of a worthless net loss for everybody. So I don't know why everyone's so proud of it, but
Well,
I mean, just,
go ahead, Brian.
just to talk more about Canadians in the First World War. I mean, they fought on the northern end of the trenches, like Yepes.
yeah, they fought between the British and the French strategically because they speak both.
Oh, interesting, huh?
Yeah, so that way they could help both lines. If one started to falter, they could move interchangeably between them all because you spoke both languages in Canada.
Interesting. So
So-
they were the southern end of the Commonwealth line then.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, huh? Because I've heard some stories, like, because I don't have one, but I wanted to buy a Ross a long time ago. And I did a lot of research into
I
them.
have one.
And
It's great.
it's crazy how expensive they are. But,
Yeah, very.
you know, and all the variations as well. But, like, I was looking into, like, the early use of the Ross in the First World War. And, you know, they were in that northern area around Ypres and stuff. I didn't know they were moved to the southern part of the line. So, Ypres. Yeah, sorry. And then were they replaced by the Australians and stuff? Because I know the Australians ended up that far northern part of the line.
It ended up kind of by the end, everyone mixing together.
Okay.
But strategically, when Canada entered the war in 1915, they were placed between the French and the British because it was a quick solution to solve communication problems, especially like on the front lines instead of having to have interpreters and translators and stuff going back and then coming forward, you know, through the telegraphs and through the phone lines and stuff. It's easier to just be able to give orders in both languages.
So the Canadians didn't get there till 1915. Interesting.
No, they didn't. They didn't get there till 1915 because they kind of got caught because while being the only British protectorate, not really protectorate, but they were part of the empire, but not really a part of the empire in a
Like a
way.
mandate in a way, or
So Canadians were fully independent from the British Empire, but still a part of it. The only thing that they were allowed to make was the British Crown at that time was allowed to make was foreign policy. And the foreign policy didn't include war. Canada was the only autonomous region of the British Empire that could decide after 1870 if they go to war or not with the rest of the British Empire. They were the only ones given that privilege. And so they actively chose to go to war. They had to do all their declarations of war and everything. Because unlike India, Australia, and everything like that, where the British were like, you're going, Canada had to have their own government and declare war and everything like that. Because the only thing the British kept control over was foreign policy.
that's fascinating. Because, you know, there were Indians at the Battle of the Marne and everything, you know, in August of 14. So it's, I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah, so they were very autonomous. They were the only part of the British Empire that was actually given full equal status as actual British people, too. Whereas everyone else was kind of a step down or lower in India's case. In the British Empire's like standing, Canada was the only one of the dominions to be able to achieve that kind of same equal status to the homeland itself. So, but they had to make their own declarations of war, and of course, the Canadian military, incredibly small. Still had militias, actually. They had militias up until like the 50s. Yeah.
Wow.
Very, very, very behind the times. They didn't get rid of their last black powder weapons out of inventory, active, like, using black powder weapons until the 40s. Very, very small, very, very under-equipped, unprepared. So they had to do this whole gearing up, rearming kind of, how are we going to set everything up and get it going? Kind of like the Americans had to do in 1917. They sent what they had ready, and then there was this whole, well, how the fuck are we going to gear everyone else up to get going? So,
Very interesting. So it was
That's
more like a
why it took
territorial
them all
army
year.
than anything else.
pretty much, it was very sparse. Canada, even to this day, the military is the basically largest it's ever been since World War II, and they could only field, 5 divisions.
Yeah.
So, for the second largest country on Earth, they can only field 5 divisions, and one of them's basically a headquarters one. They don't actually fight. They just handle all the logistics and the communication and everything. So they can only really field 4 fighting divisions. So
Wow.
I'm curious then, as someone, because you obviously are way more in tune to the Canadian side of this. What are your thoughts on this movie then?
it's pretty awful. It's pretty goddamn awful.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
It sucks because I will continue to harp on this piece of shit, but I really wish it had better representation of this subject, because hearing you talk, I want to hear you explain everything.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting subject, and I wish it had better representation. I think it's the same problem we had when we did Hyena Road, where it's the only Canadian Afghanistan war film ever. So unfortunately, it's what represents it as, Canadian Bacon 6. So it's just like, I get frustrated when I see this and I see essence of really good. Like, I believe my wife had said something that she goes, "It's a shame that all these props, all the work of the cast and crew were wasted on a piece of shit like this."
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's
Well,
that's what she said, and I thought that resonated with me because she felt bad for all the people putting in all the hard work and all the sets and the rain and everything. Like, it looked really good. I've seen really bad films, sorry, let me rephrase that. I've seen really great films with worse sets and props and everything. And from my untrained eye, and then you can tell me if it's right or wrong, were the uniforms correct and all that stuff for the most part? Or?
So the whole at-home scene in Canada,
Yeah.
that's all entirely wrong.
Right. No, yeah.
So 95% of the movie is wrong.
Like, yeah. It was impressive to see all the cars and stuff, but like,
yeah,
I could see that being wrong. Bong.
Because Canada actually had their own uniform that they wore at home, and for the first part of the war until the supply lines couldn't keep up. But they would always supply their own soldiers at home with the model of 1907 uniform, which has a standing collar. Every uniform portrayed in the movie is the 1902, the British 1902 service dress uniform, which is correct. You would see Canadians in the field after 1916 primarily wearing the British 1902 pattern uniform. Nobody had their boots correct. Nobody's wearing any ammunition shoes in the whole movie. They're all wearing like knee-high fucking lace-up boots, which you could see on officers, and you were allowed to private purchase, but the vast majority of people would have just had ammunition boots and puttees, which you don't see in the whole film. So all the home equipment, you wouldn't see him wearing 1908 pattern gear. So like when he's wearing his belt at home, which is part of the uniform, the 1902 service dress, which is correct if you're doing British, but not if you're doing Canadian. You would have a stable belt. You wouldn't really be wearing your 1908 pattern gear, or you would have a leather belt if you were an officer, equivalent to like the Sam Brown stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be wearing your 1908 pattern web gear in Canada. That would be something you would go to Europe and then they would give you.
And Devin, so the 1907, that was more of a green.
Nope, it was still
khaki.
the same color as the British uniform at the time. Yeah. So
what am I thinking of then?
So the British pattern 40 and pattern 39 is brown, and the Canadian pattern 39 is the
green.
British pattern 37 and pattern 40 are brown, and the Canadian pattern 39 battle dress is green.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was thinking. My bad.
but in World War I, it was all the same color. That was standardized because Canada, with its autonomy, that's why they didn't have the SMLE. They didn't standardize on the SMLE till actually after World War I. That's a big common misconception. Canada only adopted 2 rifles during the whole course of World War I. They had the Ross, which, because they were very autonomous, they got the Ross as long as it took 303. It's all really anyone cared about, which it did. Sort of, kind of, if you know the story of the Ross.
And just to because I don't think a lot of people will know, it was an ammunition thing why they had to get rid of the Ross, right? Because it was more precision versus the British.
The Canadians,
just more general. Well, I mean, the British ammunition was less tolerant than the Canadian ammunition was, so that was
the Canadian ammunition was very, very precise pre-World War I and right up to World War I. Canada and the United States were pretty much cleaning house in international shooting competitions. Their only competition was really each other. Everyone else was pretty much just like who's fighting for second, which is credit to how nice that the fact the Ross is a horrible combat rifle. It's a target rifle masquerading as a combat rifle. So, but
that's the problem with territorial armies. It's just like you get this one thing that's awesome for your application, and then it's like, yeah, let's go to a conventional war in another continent, and it's like different rules.
Well, it's just so expensive to produce. It was the single most expensive to produce frontline rifle of World War I. There was actually more machining hours and everything that went into making the rear sight of a Ross than an entire G98. I'm not even joking. It's that complicated. And
I really want to buy one of these more now.
And
they're so quirky.
But it was awful.
And they're straight pull too.
But they never adopted the SMLE. There's not a single gun that the Canadians actually prevalently really used.
So are you saying that's completely inaccurate then, because all I remember were SMLEs in this.
No, well, by that time in the war, you would have seen a lot of SMLEs, but the Canadians, you would have had smatterings of other rifles, because the gun that they adopted after getting rid of the Ross, because the British didn't like them, was they took on the Pattern 14, which was much more familiar to the Canadians. The British didn't like it because the sights were different, the magazine didn't hold as much. But if you look at a Pattern 14 compared to a Ross, they're pretty much the same weight because of the heavier barrel. They have the same magazine size, and they have the same kind of sight picture. It's peep sights and stuff, rather than going from your blade and notch on the SMLE. So it's really easy and familiar for a Canadian to be able to pick up, without very much retraining, a Pattern 14 going from the Ross. So the British gave a lot of the Pattern 14s to the Canadians because they were already used to reloading every 5 rounds. They weren't going to bitch about it because that's what they were used to. And the sights were pretty much the same. Ladder sight with a peep. So they would adopt pretty much, they would get, other than the British kind of rear line troops, the Canadians would get the vast majority of the Pattern 14s. But by the time Passchendaele would have happened, you would have seen the vast majority of frontline Canadians having SMLEs, but through the whole war and pretty much every battle, you would still see Rosses and you would still see Pattern 14s. So, but the vast majority would have been SMLEs. You don't see a single other rifle in the whole movie. So the uniforms are wrong, and the guns aren't entirely right. All the boots are wrong. The equipment's wrong.
The helmets would have been painted that kind of mustard.
They would have been
Canadian
like
mustard.
a tan almost. The Canadians did their helmets in like a tan, rather than like the kind of olive color like the British had, which you don't see. It's all British colored helmets.
Do they have a certain texture too? Or is it
not really, because it kind of depends on who made them and what time and yada yada stuff like that.
Well, like the early rimless ones and everything. There's a lot of variations.
Well, you would have seen pretty much
Tommy Boy
all rimmed ones by Passchendaele. Passchendaele was very, very late in the war. But there's so much wrong uniform wise and everything like that. The insignias are wrong. So the Calgary Highlanders, which is what they're known now, they're actually using that insignia. They're not using the correct World War I Calgary insignia. The collar tabs are right, but the like hat insignia you see is not correct. It's a later version, unfortunately. But they got a lot of the insignia stuff right. As far as like the shoulder markings would go for what units and what divisions are for color coding and stuff like that, because Canada's always just been the rectangles, and your color rectangle would say what division you're from, and then the little shape above it would be a different color and a different shape based on everything broken up after that. So if you could have like a red rectangle and like a blue triangle, which would like dictate what you were. So they got all of that stuff correct. Everything else was pretty well correct, but yeah.
It's kind of like vehicle British markings because they have like diamonds and squares and all this different shit.
Canada
colors
gets
as well.
The bland ass rectangle. They still use it too. That's the best part. So my division, the third division, was the French gray rectangle, which is still the third division to this day. It's a horizon blue rectangle. That's your division insignia.
Is that a holdover from actual World War I?
It's been the same.
Wow.
All the divisions have been the same since World War I. Same colors and insignias, yeah.
Huh, interesting. Well, you never really need to change it. It's such a small army.
That's right.
I do think they nailed down one thing well. I think they nailed down, German malnutrition pretty well, because apparently that boy's forehead was paper mache.
Yeah.
And I guess he had a vitamin deficiency right at the chrome magnum part of his head, so he just popped through it like an apple.
Oh yeah, everybody knows there's a fissure that goes right through the middle of your fucking skull, right there. You could pop it open if you just.
There's a crease right there. Right?
I feel like the amount of force he pushed it, he just would have like stabbed him in the forehead, and he would have like pushed his head and like
he like hardly touched him. Yeah.
When the 1972 Munich massacre thing happened, one of the guys was stabbed in the face by one of the athletes. And the knife stuck into his forehead. But it didn't like go into his brain, but it stuck into his forehead. And he was like, he survived. He was fine.
Yeah.
He had to pull it out.
Yeah.
It didn't. it's not that easy, and the guy like did it with.
I've heard of things like that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a little and it just sinks into the. That's not how that works, but
You know, what this is telling me is that Peter Gross has superhuman strength because he was able to punch a
He's a
kid's
stormtrooper?
forehead, you know, with the bayonet, and also stopped a guy leaning full force with a rifle and a bayonet, holding it like this and going, "Shoot the rifle." And then boom, and then to be gratuitous enough, we have to have his whole entire arm go through the back
He
cavity of the
fisted.
skull.
He fucking
through his
fisted.
mouth.
What the
He
fuck was
fisted
that?
a guy. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like what the? What are you doing? Like
When that happened, I was like, okay. This movie had a lot of very confusing, all of the action stuff. It has all of the acrobat stuff that I see in movies where explosion goes up, a whole guy's whole body goes flying
Yep.
through the air.
My wife went, "Hold up, rewind that. Is this The Boys? Like, what the fuck are we watching?" Like, she thought he had knife hand him like through the back of his skull through his mouth. And I'm like, no. You look down for 1 second and you miss something in this film.
It's actually Passchendaele 2. He's the Terminator.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
I will say it's much more hardcore than Hyena Road.
It is.
This was like he was really going for the violence with this. Like when people get shot, the squibs are like a Tarantino film. It's just
Yeah,
blood.
yeah.
shooting
Blood was
out,
like a bowling ball size like blood bag on a guy's back as he's running away.
Yeah,
it's like the whole thing moves, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
Oh, you mean when bullets hit people on the ground, they fly like if they've been hit
Well,
by a cannonball?
It's like all this.
Yeah, what the fuck
Yeah.
was that? It's like a giant croquet mallet came down and hit him.
Remember, whenever a shell lands next to Paul Gross, the shrapnel only goes away from him, and it affects everybody else except for him. You know, like
Yeah.
multiple times.
Well, the
He's
reason
invincible.
why he didn't get killed when the lieutenant got shelled is because there was a tiny little mud wall to his left, and that's what saved him. Not the concussion that would have
Right.
scrambled his brains.
Yeah, and then killed him
Yeah.
maybe a few hours
and also,
later.
Well, let's talk really quick about the majority of the film, which is back in Calgary, right?
Where
Um,
fucking nothing
so
is
yeah,
happening.
I'll just say I
You got-
timed
you
it.
got- you got-
This is what it went. It was 5 minutes in Europe, an hour in Calgary, and then like 30 minutes behind the lines and 15 minutes of Passchendaele, and then 8 minutes of fucking credits. That's the fucking movie. Like, you know.
I paused it at 35:14, and I went, "How much more of this fucking movie do I have to sit?"
It
through?"
took me several hours to get through this because I had to I'm like, well, I could be doing something way more productive right now, and we've got time. So
Again, I feel bad for the actors in this movie because, okay, Michael,
Paul Gross did great.
he
Yes.
paused for dramatic effect. Michael, when you do your movies, do you feel like you have to be the main star and also direct?
I never even thought about considering that.
How about a writer, cinematographer? How about a writer and a director and the main person doing everything in your film? Do you think you could get your film done for under $20 million like that? Like,
Not successfully, though.
well, you're not Paul Gross. That's why
Yeah,
you don't
but that's the
understand.
thing,
you're
man.
not
About
on his
the-
level. You're not on the
No,
You're not on the gross level. We have to measure you on a gross level.
I'm not gross.
Yeah, you're
I'm
not
sorry.
gross.
Yeah, I mean, very aptly last named
Hashtag
person
not
to.
gross.
Yeah. Yo, man, are you grossing right now?
Dude, it's
Shit.
you know what this was like. Mike said in the chat that it was like Wind Talkers, and yeah, I get that. Except, hey, I'll give Polly Wally this is like. It wasn't 3.5 or almost
No.
4 hours
No.
of
No,
suffering.
No.
No, it's right under 2 hours.
No, I would rather watch Wind Talkers 40 times than to watch this
Ooh,
piece of
bold
shit.
statement.
I don't know if
No.
I'd go that far, just because I kind of like World War One more. But
I would rather watch Hit Me in the Ear 1,000 times than watch this film
Then watch this
ever
fucking
again.
thing again.
Because guess what? Wind Talkers doesn't bore me to death with a love triangle, okay? I don't give a flying fuck.
Well, okay, so what I was gonna say is this is basically Pearl Harbor, just World War
Which is
One.
probably why I will not. That was probably why I viscerally hate it, because I hate fucking Pearl Harbor.
Weird.
Now, I'd rather watch this than Pearl Harbor.
Which Pearl Harbor is a ripoff of Titanic.
Jesus, you're right. It is a ripoff of Titanic. But what do you call it? It's funny how like we all came to assumptions.
Mike A, whoa, Mike A, too
What?
soon.
Oh shit! Yeah, I gotta wait.
Well, I was gonna say I have two things to say here. First off,
topical. I like it.
I would rather be on the Billionaire Tube right now than have watched this movie today. Okay.
Than watching
Yes,
this.
I would much rather take my chances in the North Atlantic.
Oh,
So just saying.
The Billionaire too.
Yeah. It's a Canadian story.
One of my big questions is like, so the kid, right? The kid of the guy that he's fucking or wants to fuck the nurse.
Wait,
German
hold on.
They're not.
Rephrase that.
who's fucking who?
I heard the kid he wants to be fucking
No,
or could be fucking or
The
whatever.
sister of the kid he's fucking. No, I'm not. I fucked that up too.
No, Brian. No,
That's
Brian.
wrong.
No.
His sister's the one that.
Okay,
No,
sister.
I said it
You
correctly.
said sister, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fucked
Brian
it up.
did not. That's why I wanted to...
Am I wrong?
No.
No.
I
I know what you said. Nate just wasn't listening.
wasn't listening,
You-
and
yeah,
I heard
exactly.
I heard
You
the
weren't
word
fucking
I heard the
listening.
word kid and fucking him like
No, we're not.
later
We're
like
not
that, and then
going
Brian
there.
fucked
It's
it up.
We're not going
we're
down
not
the
talking.
Gandhi route again.
We're not. Yeah, exactly. We're not talking about Gandhi, but no. So the brother of the chick.
What does Gandhi do, Mike B? What does Gandhi do?
I don't want.
What does Gandhi do?
Shut
What
up.
does
You're
Gandhi
gonna
do?
have a lot to cut
What
out.
does Gandhi do?
We're not here
what
yet.
What does Gandhi do?
You really want to make this much work for
yes,
yourself?
go. What does Gandhi do? Okay, thank you. Go again.
For fuck's sake! So the brother of the chick that Paul Gross's character
Yes.
is wanting to fuck
Yes.
and cannot get in the military because
It's-
he's got asthma.
Okay.
Why does he sound like the guy that fucking destroyed Sally Field's Whisker Biscuit on Forrest Gump when he's having an asthma attack? It's like I've known
Okay.
people with asthma, and it's like they don't sound like that.
No.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
wife was like, he's like, he has asthma, not fucking rickets. Like, what
No,
the fuck?
I thought it was what.
Dude, I have asthma.
Yeah.
It does not
Yeah.
work like that.
No, well, that's what.
Also,
he was like,
Paul,
it-
when Paul Gross touches me, he's not Jesus and soothes me and corrects my ailment. Even though he carries the
Nate,
cross, he
Nate,
carries the
Nate.
cross across the fucking battlefield. He's not fucking Jesus. All you need is fucking Romans behind him, whipping him to death, and then he fucking would have been the biblical saint he is. Fucking Jesus. Literally.
Has Paul Gross ever met anybody with asthma though? Like they don't they don't do the whole
No.
thing. It's like no, it's a squealing pig.
I wonder if it's like something back in the day where they just classified any like lung thing that wasn't pneumonia as asthma.
Right.
Because that's like how it was back in the day. Like you just like
Well,
Lay off the Pall Malls, kid.
any breathing problem could just be asthma. They probably just labeled
Yeah.
it as asthma, you know.
he could have just gone to a doctor
God
and they would have been like,
damn.
well, it says here you talk like a fag and your shit's all fucked up. So,
Well, it's fucking Calgary. There's probably one doctor, and he's probably off doing other important
Yeah, he's telling
shit.
people about fucking like shrapnel wounds and stuff, and his daughter's like is getting it.
Yep.
Yeah, she's fucking getting fucking
Getting her own-
steamrolled by a guy on a fucking hospital bed.
She's getting her
Sound
own
like the guy
variants
that
of
fucked
16
Forrest
and a half to
Gump's mom.
17 and a half, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That I mean,
Yeah.
they told the actor act like you have asthma, and so okay, I guess this is how I do
Well,
that.
I've seen Forrest Gump. Okay, I'm just gonna go with the guy that
life
fucking.
is like a box of chocolates. Breathe with me. It's gonna be okay.
I was
breathe
thinking
me.
that actually. I was thinking about Signs when he was
Oh,
doing that.
yeah.
He was like trying to
Mhm.
comfort him. It's like in Signs at the end where he's like, "Breathe with me, son. Breathe with me."
Is he's painting his
It's
face
just-
white
it's
balloon? No.
It's just, dude,
It's bad.
it's bad.
yep.
It's fucking bad.
It's bad. It is boring. Oh my god.
It's very boring.
I mean, like, and that's the thing. It's like I tried to look past it, and you know it sucks because, that actress, I can't remember her name, but
She's Vera in the Pacific.
yeah, but she's in the Pacific, and she's actually a really good actor.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, she-
wow.
she's-
all these actors except for the kid and Paul Gross are really fucking good actors.
yeah, that's probably where all the money went to getting like paying her because Paul Gross wanted her to be the love interest, and that's how much money it took.
I want to make out with her.
No.
Yeah.
I want to have filthy, dirty bunker sex. Don't
dirty
worry.
fucking sex.
Don't worry.
Oh,
Don't worry.
yeah.
Your sister's safe. I just screwed her 50 yards back there.
Well,
So
yeah,
Yeah,
don't
the
worry.
like the gratuitous like bouncing on a table in a combat zone with
that
no
made
roof,
no sense
bouncy
because like
sex.
she's like they're making out, and then like she sits down and opens her legs, and then immediately he walks up and plunges into her. It's like he just like was his dick already out?
No, it's because
Yeah,
he's
like-
got 17 inches, so it was already like there, you know.
I never want to hear you say that phrase ever. Fucking
What?
Plunge.
Plunge.
Well, that's what he did.
Michael, I want
plunge.
Michael,
literally-
I want you to give a class at the documentary about the Marines' advanced plunging fire, where they can use it for indirect.
I want you to read the VD book that Brian has in a pack somewhere. That's what I want you to do. I want you to read that.
Okay.
But I want you to read it in that voice so I can forever be changed as a human being.
What voice?
No,
My
but no-
regular voice or
Just with your voice.
okay?
I can't wait for the sequel to this one in 8 years, and when he makes another film where it's called Ortona, and it's about his son that dies in Italy as a Canadian soldier in 1943.
Oh, that'd be good. Just
You know,
please don't let it be a gross movie.
yeah, we're gonna artificially de-age Paul Gross into what his was in his
Yes.
prime.
Paul Gross's
Technology.
kid will be played by Paul Gross.
If Paul Gross could direct a film without being in front of the fucking camera, maybe it'd actually be a good fucking film.
It probably would be as bad.
I don't think he's good at anything, dude.
I didn't say I believed it. I just said it. So there.
Okay,
so
I don't think he's good at acting. I don't think he's good at writing, directing. I mean, I guess he was able to get a movie made, but still.
twice.
No, he's good at
Yeah.
breathing. That's one thing. So we
fair.
have figured out something. He's an air cleaner.
And he's got
air
impeccable
cleaner.
aim, apparently, with bayonets and wieners. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just gross.
That's what I'm saying. He just didn't even need to do anything. He just walked up and was in her.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
the thing
he
is, it's
perfectly
like,
centered that
that's-
bayonet in that
Yeah.
kid's forehead at the beginning of the movie. So it's
I mean,
like,
can we just get like a 5-second part where he's like, like having to do something before
Well,
he
try to snap one off before
Yeah.
he gets one out.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
like, yeah.
but like have to actually like open his pants right before while he's like, or something like that.
I don't think people realize you got a lot of buttons and shit to undo on that uniform before you could just go.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There was no zipper back then, so like I'm thinking, yeah. He's like, I can't get my dick out, so I'm just gonna dry hump your pussy. Oh, did I offend you, Nate?
No, I just don't want to hear those words come from your mouth.
He's been sitting in the
What?
mud and everything for so long, so like by the time he finishes, it's just like an inch of mud that comes out, you know?
I put my headphones on at the wrong moment. Oh my god.
Every good
Jeez.
marksman or soldier knows to clear your muzzle before you get into an engagement.
Exactly.
You know? I got another foreign object for you, and this time it's not sperm.
This is-
God, that line, dude. That line. We're gonna talk about shrapnel, like horrific wounds.
yeah.
You know what gets me going? Like
You
that.
know, it gets me.
Yeah.
You know, it gets me fucking
Yeah.
wet,
Yeah.
like a bowl of mac and
Moist.
cheese. Talking about fragments fucking up guys over in France.
Yeah.
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 Let's fuck on this
A-
hospital bed here.
Because
Yeah.
she says that right before that. The next famous line. Yeah.
Well, that was such bullshit. That's not how Canadians say "a," as Devin knows.
No.
If only Tom Lee's the sacrifice painting existed, they wouldn't have to go to a lecture. They could stare at it the whole time.
So these weren't legit Canadians in this movie, then, if they're not saying "a" properly.
The most Canadian part of this movie is where the guy's like, "Hey, do you have any matches?" And then he says, "We." Just says "we." Just
Oh.
yes in French, and then right back to English with no accent or anything.
That wasn't in the script. That's just what the actor did.
Yep.
The,
It's just like,
Legit
okay,
Canadian.
so is this guy supposed to be like French? Like from Quebec? Or like, what's going on?
I mean, I'm just glad there was no neck tattoos on all the women this time around. So, that works for me.
It would have been nice to have some like French accents in there. you
it
know?
would have.
There was. They had a
that would have had French accents.
they had a Quebecian in there, and I say Quebecian
Quebecian.
because that's what they
Like
said.
one.
They said
Yeah.
speaking in a
Quebecian.
Quebecian accent. It was what the subtitle said.
Okay, yeah, one, but like some more. would-
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Devin speaking with his Yukon accent, you know.
Um,
Jesus, yeah. This thing was just. I mean, I didn't even want to insult the term dumpster fire with this because it's like it's so below that. Like again, if I was a dipshit and I was fucking hammered out of my goddamn mind in my early 20s watching this going, God, this is a piece of shit. Now it's just like
Hold
oof.
on, Mike, paint me a picture, okay? 4 fucking times.
You've got a failed fucking wannabe director from Canada, from Calgary.
Yeah.
And Brian is next. I know that. I understand
Alberta,
that. I respect that.
I think. But yeah.
So, yeah, it's Alberta. Yep.
Yeah,
So you got a failed fucking wannabe director who goes, I'm going to learn the bare minimum about a fucking battle that happened in the First World War where Canadians were involved that wasn't Vimy Ridge, but I'm going to mention that in there. And I'm going to make the entire fucking film the antithesis of what actually happened at Passchendaele. And I'm going to have it take place in Calgary and have a bunch of like shitty romance going on with shitty characters and a shitty brother of some shitty fucking bitch who was a nurse who treated some shitty fucking guy who was apparently a coward.
High on morphine.
And then have some high on morphine. That was the detox scene with the morphine. It's like, good God. I mean, what
a weird thing to add in the movie.
Yeah, she had rickets, so yeah.
Yeah, she had rickets. Okay, I guess. Yeah, fucking.
But also,
good
like,
God.
She really
she's
looked like it.
I only use it like every now and then. You wouldn't have had like detoxing shit that bad if she was.
No,
only
if she
using
said
it, like,
I don't do it every day, it's like, yeah, well,
I'd do it once a week.
What is
Yeah,
a
I mean,
day?
you would
How
not
do you
be
classify a
detoxing.
day? I mean, for me, it's an hour. But I mean,
watch Interstellar. It's every fucking 2 seconds where it clicks. But
That was a
That's-
wonderful picture you painted it for me, Mike. I appreciate it.
I wasn't done, but
Oh,
go
he'll keep
ahead.
going. I can see it in my mind now. Go.
Yeah, and so then when he eventually saves this bitch and her derelict fucking asthmatic little brother from their German fucking self-inflicted shame in the neighborhood, they both end up in France again. And they're at Passchendaele, obviously, like together, because oh God, that's how the things go. And then everybody meets up again, and then this little shitty kid with asthma gets crucified, very shittily, by the way, on pallets, what it looked like.
No, it
And
was
then,
on duck boards. It was 2 blown apart
It was
duck
duck
boards, and he
boards.
was just tied up there with wire.
those are really shitty duck boards,
Yeah.
though, Devin. You know that.
Yeah.
Like that's not what duck boards look like.
Yeah.
Those were pallets. Those were fucking pallets.
Yeah.
The prop department shit the bed major. Anyway, so he's on these really great fucking pallets with some plastic fucking barbed wire, and then he's still alive miraculously. And then Jesus of Calgary fucking drags the cross. He doesn't bother to unfucking crucify this kid. He just drags the cross, all that extra weight,
Well,
across the fucking.
Jesus didn't put the cross down. He carried it.
Yeah.
Not with
That's how it's
himself
supposed to be.
on it.
How does that work?
he's Jesus.
Well, maybe if Jesus had an asthmatic kid, he would have done it.
Yeah, Jesus had an asthmatic kid on his back, and he carried the asthmatic kid on the cross through the streets
Well,
of Rome.
good thing Mary
Was he
Magdalene
cross-eyed too?
didn't ever tell Jesus about their asthmatic kid. Yeah, fuck yeah. Was he cross-eyed? He probably was.
Probably. Was.
But anyway, then he drags him back, and then he succumbs to his wounds, and then everybody lives happily ever after.
Movie
That's
over.
the
yay.
fucking
What I
picture.
loved at the end,
Yeah.
while we're on it, is that on every gravestone I've seen, this they make sure just to put a date and a death date, not a day or anything else. Like, hey, Paul Gross, 1880 to 1970. That's good enough, Like fuck it. All the other ones in the background look great and they're perfect. The real headstones, but this one, fucking, I don't know, like fucking. He died in
Also,
the
so
13th month.
So why was the kid sitting there in a wheelchair with his fucking left leg bent underneath his leg to make it look like he was an amputee? It's like, well, if you look at him on the cross, there's no wound on his left leg. What
He's
the
got
fuck
both
happened?
legs.
yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that too. I was like, what the fuck is
To,
going on?
to answer what you said, Brian, about the headstone, is that the guy that they paid to actually carve that fucking thing, it was like $900, and they couldn't have it done.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, Whiskey did that, Mike A. Whiskey did that. Okay?
Oh.
Yeah, come on. That's how
Jesus
the
Christ.
father's grave got there was whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whiskey happened again.
It's so fucking stupid. Like, again, like we're talking about overall, like, in all honesty, Passchendaele was a really fucked up battle.
It
It
was.
really was. And it was mostly Canadians that were involved in that. Vimy Ridge was like a really, there was like the Canadians' claim to fame, like, okay, we can fight, we did this shit. But Passchendaele was completely fucked. And instead of going through what actually went down at that battle sans, 15 minutes of some bullshit fucking narrative wannabe jack off fucking fantasy about what war might be like. The set was good. They had just a complete field of fucking mud. That's all it was. And
Passchendaele was just
raining.
mud. It was considered one of the muddiest battles of World War One. So
It was terrible. People died in the mud.
you drowned, sank into it, sunk into it when
They
you were
died,
asleep.
yeah. And it's like, okay, we're not going to show that. We're going to show that it's somewhat miserable, and it's the trenches, but it's not, and it's raining. And it's like, why don't you show these guys like rotting from the outside in? Literally, is what happened. Trench foot? Oh yeah. How about trench body? 'Cause that's what happened in Passchendaele, and they took the fucking town after 4 fucking months, and then it was just like all for nothing.
Yeah,
like
Operation
Devin said.
Michael happened and swept them out in less than a week. It was like 5 days of fighting in the German army swept.
And that was, in my opinion, Devin, like really quick, and then I'll stop my rant. Really quick, Devin, in my opinion, from the First World War, that was kind of the end of the Canadian, like, success in the First World War. Is like, because they had nothing left, and they were so fucking demoralized, and they had lost so many guys. Would you agree?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Canada didn't send that many people to begin with. They didn't have that many people to send. They sent 10% of their total population basically to World War One. But you got to remember, back then, Canada only had a population of like 14 million people.
Yeah.
Total,
yeah.
It said 8 million in the film. Dave.
Yeah.
Come on.
But the vast majority of those people are going to be in manufacturing for the war effort. They're going to be in supply lines and stuff. So like actual people
or ineligible for service.
Yeah, and they didn't have that many people to send or lose. So anything where they got hit that hard cost pretty dear.
That was kind of the nail in the coffin. Like from my historic studies on World War One, is like that was the nail in the coffin for the CEF.
There wasn't much left after 4 years. By the time
what the fuck are you gonna do?
rolls around,
yeah. It's like what are you gonna do? Like you lose. Didn't they lose like at that point? What was the percentage of the CEF that was lost at Passchendaele? Like incapacitated. You know what I mean? Like casualties,
what was
not
left?
Just dead, or I'm saying incapacitated, like and their supply chain and all that shit. What was the percentage?
It was
that
most
was
of
lost?
it. It was probably over 20. So
it was.
It's
a huge hit. No, it's a huge hit, and then it's not saying that the Canadians didn't contribute in 1918.
Yeah,
but it's like they had nothing to work with.
Pretty much everything
so instead
they
of
sent
showing
in
that,
1915, pretty much just that's what they had, and that's what they had to work with the whole war. 1915 to 1916 was about it, and then the British had to step in and start giving stuff to the Canadians because they just couldn't after sending everything they had, and then it would just trail down.
Instead of focusing on that, instead of focusing on like telling that story, he focuses on some dumb fucking love story that's not. It's subpar is being very generous.
Yeah. Well, yeah. With this movie, I mean, it doesn't even need to be Passchendaele. It could be any fucking battle. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It does. There's nothing specific to it being this conflict or even this army. You
or
could
this
take
battle.
this whole formula and put it to anything else.
Well, that
Passchendaele is mentioned twice though.
That's
at the end of the movie.
That's the thing I wanted to touch on too. I thought it was interesting because we kind of all came away from this movie with different ideas of what it was or what it was emulating.
Well, not really.
Well, like Michael had mentioned, it's just a version of Broad.
No, I'm being a dick. Yeah.
But I thought this was like a ripoff of SPR in a lot of ways, like the structure and stuff.
Well, and Windtalkers is also a ripoff of SPR.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it's funny, is like we all came to these conclusions, but in reality, they're all ripoffs of each other. You know, this like crazy thing that happens, and then he's wounded, and then he has to get back into the fight. Then he has to do this other thing with his idiot, and then he's back in the fight, and he doesn't live. And it's like, oh. That's just a fucking character arc, you know. Like,
it's
but he
2
sacrifices
seconds into
himself.
it, the whole movie.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know.
Absolutely, yeah. Same thing as Windtalker. Same thing as Saving Private Ryan. Fury is the same fucking thing.
It's all.
But this is so goddamn lazy.
But that's what Americans like. That's what so many people like. They like the same thing over and over again. That's why all of the shows that come out of Hollywood, like, well, for the vast majority of its existence, and like other stuff like that, they're all the same. It's all the like setup, character introduction, rising action, climbing action, falling action, you know, happy ending. Everything just is that same format because that's what people like. That's what they're used to. It even goes back to even before TV, the fucking radio shows, like from the 30s and 40s where they're talking about Batman and everything. It's all the same fucking thing, and it's just what people expect and what they like.
Right.
Well, it's like Michael says, it's chewing gum for the brain.
Yeah,
Mhm.
chewing gum for the brain. That's what I call shit like this.
Mhm.
It's like it goes in one ear and out the other.
Yep.
Hitchcock had a great quote where it's like most movies today are people talking in rooms, and it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
you know, they're in Canada, they're in, you know. Oh,
That's
I'll
right.
mention this too. You know, fucking, this is the age of the Titanic. Not to keep bringing that up, but it is. You know, 19 teens. It's so easy to get across the Atlantic. It takes what, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. You know, how the fuck are these people like there before other people arrive? You know, like he goes there with a kid, and then the major is already in Canada. Did he take a plane? No, he didn't take a plane. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Did he take the fast ship? No, there isn't a fast ship because you're in the fucking same convoy. Like, it's
Yep.
like, what the hell? You know, it's very hard to travel during war.
They didn't want to show the 6 weeks of taking a bunch of Canadians that have never been on the water before in their life spewing over the side of a ship so much that it actually rises out of the water.
Is that how they raised the Titanic? Canadian bomb?
Canadian vomit. That should be a
It's
band.
just they would
yeah.
lose so much weight. It was a big problem actually in World War One. You read about it, something a lot of people don't realize, but where they took, it was so many Americans too. They blew chunks going from, because there were so many of them that for one couldn't swim, never been around water, never been on a boat or anything. Take all these people from fucking rural Nebraska or Calgary, you know, and you fucking throw them on a ship going across the ocean. This isn't like a big, like modern day cruise ship. Like ships weren't that big back then. It's like they moved more, and people would just literally lose like 15 to 20 pounds going across the ocean, just throwing up and trying to live, getting across the water. And then it's like, all right, now go fight everybody.
Yeah, right. You know, well, that's why they, in a lot of
So,
memoirs,
it's-
they'd be like, it was a good crossing, or it was a bad crossing. You know, it's like, oh,
Mhm.
away it goes. How much vomit did you have
That's
in
the
your
thing.
fucking,
Pretty much. I read about a lot of the like original sources, like reading the people's diaries and stuff like that from there, and they just talk about how like everything was covered in vomit. Like it was just everywhere. Like
my favorite World War II troop ship stories, because you get a lot of all the memoirs, is the second they got on the ship to the second they left, there was a poker game going in the bathroom the whole time. And the reason is because in the bathrooms and the heads, the lights never went off. So, like, literally, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it doesn't matter the amount of time. There's always guys fucking gambling, staying up all night, all the time, fucking gambling in the heads. So that was something you had to deal with. It was pretty funny. So,
happens.
right, you know.
But
And now it's just fucking trying to survive a flight in a C-17. You know?
I know, right?
Cool. But yeah, it was just interesting how we all came to like different ideas of what this was trying to rip off. And you know, it's like, just reading some of my quotes here, it feels like a Hallmark movie. It's that dumb.
It is.
You know, like
Mhm.
it's got a strange structure, but as we talked about, it kind of all follows the same kind of token.
It looks like a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just everything in it felt out of place. It felt annoying. It's like they were trying to make it work, but it wasn't working, so they were just trying to make it work more.
Yeah.
It's an hour to
Well-
get back to the front after he's wounded. Like, what the fuck?
It's what you said. You know, you said things that it's trying to rip off. I don't know if it's even trying to rip it off, or if it's just like, you know, with war films, it's just it becomes so formulaic sometimes, and
Yeah.
it just like Paul Gross, when writing this, he, you know, unconsciously just, you know, ripped those things off that have already been done a million times. Because this movie, when I was watching it, like 45 over an hour through, I was like, this is really old fashioned. A lot of this stuff. This seems like a movie out of the
Well,
50s or something.
Yep. Really cheesy, but with
Yeah.
like modern day cameras.
This is all
Yeah.
old stuff.
I've
yeah.
noticed that with some Canadian productions. I'm not trying to rag on anything, but
Taking a jab at the
well, I've
cuts.
seen,
You know what? It's true though. It's deserved.
I've seen,
They
I've
deserve
seen-
it, yeah.
well,
That's why all the good Canadian actors come to America.
well, it's like
Correct.
So I mean, honestly,
I will say this. I think that the best thing to ever come out of Canada that can never be beaten as far as television and films and stuff is Trailer Park Boys. It's just
pretty much.
the
Yes.
fucking, it's internationally,
And,
yeah.
and Letterkenny too.
Give it
Letterkenny's
10
fantastic.
years,
Yeah.
it will be, yeah, I agree. But it needs time, but
No,
it's still
listen. Canada, I mean, this isn't really talking about mainstream, like, you know, memorable, successful stuff, but they have been a very active country when it comes to the development of animation. A lot of stuff with animation and computer graphics, like early CGI and stuff like that, was Canadian stuff. So They do
But
have
where
that.
did they all move though? Where did they all move?
Well, once they were successful, yeah, they went.
That's
to
funny
LA.
you say that because the
correct.
one guy, I forget his name, but he did the model for the T-Rex. He was a Canadian guy, and he worked at ILM. And he was very important.
talking-
I forget his name.
Oh, you talking about the CGI T-Rex?
Yeah, yep, that guy. The guy that did it.
What is that guy's name? The guy with the crazy.
Yeah, he's a pretty crazy individual, but he's a Canadian, and he's kind of cut from that same cloth. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, it's been like no matter what industry or what the fuck you're doing, it seems that when you get some sort of success or a good idea, they all move down here and then it blows up.
Well, it's because there's more money to be made. There's more access to stuff easier here in America, and that's kind of the story of Canada. If you're anybody in Canada, you become American.
Well, I mean, like there are a ton of like great actors who are most people don't even know are Canadian.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of them. I mean, I still hear people are shocked when they find out Jim Carrey's Canadian.
You know, here's the thing: is again, I'll harp on it again. Is I wish, especially a fucking Canadian, fucking director and writer and producer and actors being very liberal with that.
Yeah,
but
dramatic pause.
Impressionist.
You have this fucking opportunity to tell a story about the Canadians.
Yeah.
You were given a $20 million budget, and you
$20
made
million?
this
Yeah, it's
fucking turd.
Yeah.
Like,
he could have done so
fuck
much with
you.
that money because, like, you could have made everything look so much better. And I mean, like I said, most of the acting is okay. The writing is what's terrible. But everything about and some of the props are pretty good. But like, you could have done so much better with the uniforms and so much better with
$20 million.
With he probably was writing this and been like, I'm gonna lose $16 million on this movie.
I'm betting you the big chunk of that money went to that 1920s town set and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
No, that's still just Calgary. It still just looks like that.
Oh, really?
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, the thing is about this. I think the thing that really makes me mad about this film, if it wasn't, let's take Paul Gross out of it, it would still be a really bad film.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, to me, and I think it's the narcissism that I see within it. It's like, you are a director and you don't trust anyone, or you think that very highly of yourself, that you're the only main actor that can play the main lead of your character.
Right.
And you don't think the rest of your film is not going to suffer when you're multitasking like that. Now, maybe he had a assistant director, maybe he had all that, but then why are you saying directed by Paul Gross? Why are you saying it's a film by Paul Gross? No, it's a film by your assistant director. And if it's not that, then you're multitasking so much because your ego is so pompous that you think you're you have to be the lead in this thing. And I think that's the problem that I have with his films, is that I see things lacking in quality, lacking in everything, and I'm seeing other actors who are trusting this production, or I mean, granted, they're being paid probably well, but the point is like, I see that and it's like, I see no care. I just see pompous attitude.
Well,
I don't know.
Hyena Road was too.
What?
That's how Hyena Road was too. It's just the same movie with just a different setting.
Exactly, and that's I think where I come with this. It's like, look, I don't know Paul Gross, obviously.
I know he's alive, unfortunately.
Outside looking in, it's very pompous what he's done with both these films. And I think that's what irks me the most, is that I see a lack of quality, a lack of finesse, and a lot of egotistical tendencies and narcissism within this. And I think that's what makes me mad. It's like, you could hire another actor to play that lead, and you would probably get a lot better performance, and it would be a B-rated film. But because you have an ego, because no one said, you know what I want? I want Paul Gross to direct and be the lead actor. No one of sound mind in a production setting would ever agree to that, unless you own the production and all that stuff, which I believe he does. And so, I don't know. I just see that maybe he's probably one of the nicest guys ever, but I think that decision making is horrible, and I think it's so narcissistic. I can't say the word.
Yeah, we know what you're
saying. It's ego driven, this whole movie production, and the same thing with Hyena Road. And and I think I'll fall back to the quote that my wife said. It's like, I feel bad for the people who worked on this, for the props company, for the sets, for all that stuff, who did all this, and this movie's the biggest fucking ego jerker I've ever seen in my life. And it still resonates the same thing with Hyena Road. Mike, there you go.
So it's interesting that you say that about the pompous stuff, because the movie that he did before this, that he also wrote and directed and starred in, is called Men with Brooms. And it's like a comedy film where he's like the suave, like, main character in it. It's the same kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, so I think there is a level of that pompous arrogance that you're talking about when it comes to this guy and other non-war related projects as well.
Yeah, I just don't understand the concept of doing 2 to 3, 4 roles. I'm gonna look at it real quick because I forgot to do that before I jumped on tonight. I was gonna look up everything that he was a part of this production so I can get that down.
So even Quentin Tarantino, he's a kind of pompous dude himself. He's weird and whatever. He's done the work, so like whatever. But like even when he does his cameos, it's like 5 minutes.
A cameo is one thing. Like, that's fine.
Starring
that's totally fine. There are hundreds of films where they had cameos and stuff like that, but it's when you are the lead actor, that's where I have the problem. Anyway,
I would say this. I mean, Tarantino started as an actor before he got into directing, so he actually did go to acting
Desperado
school.
is his best fucking role ever in the world.
I really like him in what is it? Not Red or
Reservoir Dogs?
No, that's the one where they go to Mexico. No, that's
No, you're From Dusk Till
Yes,
Dawn.
I think he's great in that. Okay. I think it's a great movie. But again,
he didn't. I don't think he wrote or directed. He didn't. Robert Rodriguez directed that, but I think he just acts in it. I don't think he wrote
interesting,
it.
huh? But again, he went to acting school and then he got into directing. So that's his. I mean, Paul Gross looks like he was a TV actor forever, and then hit it big in the '90s, and then on this random TV show, and then decided to make films on the side. He still is on TV. If you look at his filmography and stuff. So
yeah, he still has to go out on an audition. I bet
he's got to make back fucking however many millions of dollars from his 2 movies.
Dude, apparently he's worth $5 billion, so he's good. Like
$5 billion?
That's his net worth.
Oh, it's all you said $5 billion. I'm like, what? How the fuck?
If it was $5 billion,
if it was
$5 billion, the Canadian government would take that back and put it into the search for the submersible. But
That's right.
I'm guessing Paul started out in theater and kind of
TV
or something. Yeah, but I mean, I could see him coming from like the theater first. That's
he's a theater kid. Yeah,
that's what he seems like to me anyway.
He's that guy that got really, really excited as like the Deal or No Deal. He was one of the people in the background that just like stood by a briefcase.
So those guys, like years later, you see a clip on YouTube, such and such, when they were on such and such, when they were.
It's like the Bryan Cranston ads. Like, it's like Preparation H is the right thing for you. Like 1978, It's like, that guy's going to make meth. yeah. Like, fuck.
So he was director and writer and lead actor.
And he was one of the producers, too.
On this?
Yep.
We should start the Paul Gross fan club.
Producer, director, writer, and lead actor. That's 4 roles. Now, granted, he was one of 4 producers, and he was the only writer and the only director. There is no co-director. There's no assistant director. There's no nothing.
That explains a lot.
That could be. Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say that, Brian. Like that could be why this was such a fucking piece of shit.
At least again, like I said, the cinematography by Gregory Middleton was at least good. There were no bad shots in this film, actually. There were some questionable shots, but not bad shots.
I liked how some of the sets looked and all that stuff.
The sets were great.
What's with that German who just explodes from his hip with fire? What the fuck? Was
Yeah,
that?
when he shoots him in his whole like torso, like
Was that like ammo
Yeah,
going
that
off?
was
That's what I
No,
thought.
what I
I thought
think-
maybe he hit a
say?
grenade or something. Yeah.
What I think that was flares because they
That's
are
what I
charged
thought
with
too.
black powder.
Yeah, that's what I thought
So
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
but like other than that, like it's like what the fuck are we doing
The
here?
only
How
thing,
how are the? Oh, sorry, Brian. Go ahead. Go.
I was like, the only thing that I saw was like, I also was like, oh, that's neat. Like they showed all of the carrier pigeons, like in carts and stuff like that being pushed around.
I remember that.
Yeah, all those sets and the props were great.
Yeah.
I did thought I saw
Right.
like a fucking Toyota fucking truck in the back of a CG thing, and it turned out it was a hospital truck or whatever.
A car did make it into Lord of the Rings, so it can happen every now and then.
That's
You
fair.
shut your mouth. We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about those monumental blunders.
Yeah.
Okay. But no, like it I liked the props. There was nothing that it wasn't. What was one of the horrible movies that we had with props?
Passchendaele?
Yeah,
No.
Passchendaele. Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
Hyena Road was really bad. With props.
Remember
Are you
the
kidding
fucking
me? Oh,
car?
God.
It blew up. It was like
Oh right.
it's like
yes.
freeze frame, broken car. Okay, start.
Right. All right. I forgot about
Windshield,
that.
no windshield.
Yeah.
CGI
Well,
shots.
well, they weren't going to give him $20 million again.
Why? Yeah,
So
right.
yeah.
I like
Like,
the CGI
yeah.
artillery recoiling.
There was even no recoil in this because it's funny now that we have like this rolling,
Yeah, there
this
were no
rolling thing of
recoils.
like artillery recoil for all the films we watch. So it was like, oh,
No,
did they get it right? Nope.
Well,
Nope.
None of
I
the,
looked for that too.
None
Yeah.
of the rifles I remember doesn't have any recoil, but when
That was so bad.
The guns were going off. They looked CGI to me. They're like they looked like really.
Well, I think the
Like
muzzle
they
flash,
went
but you
too
didn't see
fast.
any move of the wheels at all or anything.
Did
Okay,
anyone see? Was I right in seeing that the Lewis gun was functioning? Because I thought it
yeah.
was.
The pan spins. I don't remember the charging handle going back or forth.
Yeah, me either.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah.
I
same.
saw
Is it disconnected
smoke.
or
I
is it
saw like
reciprocal?
smoke coming off of it, but I'm gonna pull it up.
So
real
we're
quick.
talking about how props and stuff like that looked good. Devin, was there anything that looked really terrible to you, or was
No, I mean other than the rifles weren't obviously actually shooting, but they did have scenes actually where you see people running the bolts like ass because they're actors. People would have been better at by that point in the war at shooting the smelly, but
Really quick, Brian. Too. Also, Devin, they had the round cocking knobs.
Yeah.
You noticed that.
which is
So that
something
was
that
good.
was possible that could happen. And so the rifles are real. They're real rifles. They all are. They're different and they actually work and stuff. And sometimes you do see there's a couple scenes where they actually run it and a empty case falls out. It's not just an empty gun per se, but it is. But it's that you actually see brass fall out of the gun, which is kind of nice to see. But still no recoil and yada yada this and that. But for the most part, it was okay. So
Yeah, the recoil was really, really bad. Non-existent, and the blanks were super weak. They were. Oh my god.
Oh God.
But
yeah.
there was.
were there blanks? I thought some of them
No,
were
they
just dry fire.
No,
Like,
those are cheap blanks. Yeah, there was one scene with bad bolt play where they literally go on a shot of a guy just with, his gun is totally not charged at all, and he's like this for 5 or 6 seconds, and then he reloads. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Brian, my bolt action's jammed. It only doesn't go fully open
No,
all the way.
that was
Brian,
actually a
it
big
won't close.
problem, though, and I'm actually glad they addressed that because that's actually a thing that happened a lot. Because we don't know anything about the SMLE. The bolt runs on a rail on the side of the receiver, and that was a big thing they talked about. How you couldn't get the bolt back far enough to chamber a new round because there would be mud packed under that little rail that the bolt head runs on. It was one of the biggest problems, other than getting obviously dirt
Okay.
in your magazine or in your muzzle, because it's a rear locking lug rifle, so it was really easy to clean the locking lugs out. You could just piss on it or dump water on it because everything's real easy to clean right there. But the big problem, and it was the same way in World War II with the number 4, you get any sand or anything or any particulate under that rail, your bolt doesn't come far enough back.
I'd say the channel is even worse on the World War II one.
So it's not the closing, it's the opening that's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that makes sense the way he was doing, because he kept trying to open it. I'm like, it's
Mhm.
open, dude. Why the fuck are you not?
You got to
just
get
moving
it far enough
forward?
back to actually
Right,
feed
okay,
from the
okay.
magazine. But you
Got
could
it, yeah.
always single load it. That was still a thing. You could always still
Right.
single load it if you couldn't get your bolt back far enough. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's cool that at least they address that. Yeah. I have an SMLE and I haven't noticed that. I'll have to take a look at that.
Mm-hmm. The rail.
The SMLE, like all the models of the SMLE, like the bolts are very anemic.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get any sort of debris or anything, like it doesn't matter if it's the number 4,
We'll say max.
number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like it's relatively, but like the bolt on an SMLE is very small compared to like a Mauser or a pattern 14 or whatever.
It's very
or a
tiny
Ross
and
even.
lightweight. Yeah.
Yep. And so if you get any sort of shit in there on any model, it's like, it's gonna be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
Let's do
I
it.
think, yes, this is the point where we should go take a look at the firearms. So head to
Good.
IMFTV.
I hope there's SMLEs in it.
It's the one that they left out.
Oh shit.
You bitch.
A 3 or a 3-star? Nice.
Star.
Very nice.
It's a Lithgow though, so it's Australian. It's Australian, mate.
Any district markings or no, like on the stocker at all?
No, it's 1918.
I had a Lithgow that I sold to Sean that I regret to this day, and the stock is covered in fucking markings, and it's a 3rd military district rebuilt Papua New Guinea, and I found this out after I sold it. I'm like,
Just go back and break into his house in your cat suit and steal
dude.
it.
Yeah.
My coolest SMLE I got, it started as an Enfield made in 1909. And so it was a true number 3. And then it got damaged or something, and they retrofitted it to a star pattern. And then they struck the star out by putting the like little equal sign over it and reconverted it back to a number 3 after World War I. And they only did that to like 2,000 guns. So it's an actual like Enfield all the way through struck star SMLE, which is funny. $400.
My most original, nice. I have a Ishapur 1929, all original
There you
brown
go.
paint, and it's beautiful. It's like, probably came out of India or the borders, or it's fucking cool. Northwest Passage gun, but cool. So we made it.
So now that we're on this, they should have just spelled it different. Polly Wally should have been like passion, like the word passion, and then
And
Dale.
then you could make it into a gay love story because Dale was his lover.
and name the main
'cause
character
it doesn't
Dale.
even fucking matter what battle it is. It could be it's just World War I.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just going off the coattails and like the recognition of people that are going to be like, "Oh, Passchendaele, like let's learn about this."
Handgun.
Yeah, fuck that.
Handguns.
What a fucking douche.
Webley
Get one
Mark
of those one
6.
day. They just look like you could just beat someone over the head with it and it wouldn't even.
Too
damage
bad.
Top
Too
breaks
bad
are really
Canadians
fun.
really didn't
to shoot.
use Webleys in World War I.
What
Yeah.
do they use?
Primarily used Smith and Wessons. Yeah, Smith and Wesson triple locks or hand eject Model 2s in 455.
Interesting. Huh.
So nothing about the gear is really that awful here, Devin.
No, they're looking pretty much like how you would expect a Canadian to look at the end of World War I.
Except the helmet's
Yep.
the wrong color.
But that's
aren't they?
you could see British helmets, but you would have
Yes.
seen more.
You see a mix.
Canadian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Oh, it makes something.
you
that
don't
would
see
probably,
one.
at least in
you
my
don't
mind,
even
to bring
see
over.
one
Yeah.
Canadian
Right.
helmet. That's the problem. It's all British equipment, pretty much. So you don't see the mix of webbing either. You don't see the 1908 would have been mixed with pattern 14 webbing. It would have been mixed with Canadian Oliver pattern 1916
The leather
webbing.
shit. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So it's all 1908.
Didn't know that
here.
existed.
Yeah, the smelly.
Yes.
At least they weren't number 4s.
SMLE.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not like the Blue Max.
I've seen that before in World War I.
There he is with his tall
Yeah,
boots.
right.
Yeah. What the fuck were?
Yeah.
Are those putties?
No,
They-
it's just socks like flipped over the top.
Yeah, you do the socks over the top. That was a common thing in the Second World War too, is some units in armies.
This was also like, as I've always dog on movies for doing the hand.
Oh,
the
so-
carry and all that shit. What's up, Brian?
He's also being dumb.
Oh, I was just gonna say they should have Rosses, shouldn't they? This
Yeah.
early
No,
in the war.
Well, this is-
1915, they
flashback,
would have had
yeah.
crosses.
This is
I think this is
No,
Yeps.
that's the
isn't it?
That's the flashback.
Vimy Ridge.
This is the
but,
first.
Like,
Yeah.
they would have had. I mean, it's plausible I'm sorry,
You
Devin.
would have
like-
seen a lot of Rosses still. You don't see the
Yep.
Ross really get fully replaced from the front lines until 1917.
So it's plausible. It's not like impossible, but like probably. But like it's still
Yeah, or at least
Yeah.
P14s,
Yeah.
like we were saying.
His very dull 1907 bayonet in that shot. You can see the rounded tip over on
Right there.
Oh, yeah.
it.
See that
Yeah,
glint?
that's got to be a 16-incher right there. That's not a 17. You know,
It's because he's used it so much.
Mhm.
How many
that's why it's
foreheads
dull.
has he punctured at this point?
That's his
fair.
thing. He gets him in the
Dulled
forehead.
the tip. Yeah,
that's-
that's his calling card. He punches. He can't open their forehead. every
he's very
single one
lucky
of them.
that Kraut was very malnourished.
The Germans come by. Gross was
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, he's lucky.
They cut out the line where he asked him if he wanted something foreign in his skull.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, see,
Yes.
this is a cool feature that a lot of people probably you can see it in the stills, but you can tell this is a very, very early SMLE that guy has because it still has the milled out side of
Yep.
the rear side protector.
Mm.
They stopped doing that after like 2 years, but they
Is that-
started
is
making
that
the
this
SMLE.
right here?
Huh?
Is it this part right
We
here?
can't
That
see
kind
your
of little like horn that sticks up next
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
rear
Bulldog?
sight, Yeah.
The bulldog front end. Yeah, you see how it's
Nice.
milled on
And
the side?
also like the rear of the stock, like right below the bolt on the right side is cut out for the magazine.
For
cutoff.
the magazine
Yep.
cutoff, yeah, which is
So,
good.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I have a number 1 Mark Star pre SMLE. It's got fucking all the early SME features like volley
Yeah.
sights and everything, and it's fucking.
This is good. That's another one. So they didn't all have round cocking pieces. This
Yep.
is the slab side cocking piece. They would have started in 1916.
Yep.
So okay, interesting. Do those come out with the Star for like a quicker
You
manufacturing?
can see them
or-
on both. It's just something that's easier to manufacture, but you can see it on Mark IIIs and Star patterns. It just would have depended on when the parts got there and who was making them, and when they got the different machinery to do it. Because there were some manufacturers that made round cocking pieces through the whole war, and there were some that switched very, very quickly to the slab side one. That would become the standard. 1916s when you see the standardization on the slab side, though, officially like in paperwork. So like if your gun would go back to Arsenal, if they didn't have other guns to scavenge parts off, a new made part would have all been slab side after 1916.
Yep.
Are there any good books to get on the SMLE?
Oh, there's
because I'm
a
realizing I don't know
lot,
a lot
of
about them.
good stuff on the SMLE out there, and the best part is it's all in English, which is you don't find on a lot of
Yeah.
guns. It's a very easy gun to do research on, and there's so many good internet resources and videos out there on everything. Like Othias and CN Arsenal will basically tell you everything you need to know about the
Yeah.
SMLE, even the number 1 Mark IIIs, all the way back to like the number 1 Mark Is and the number 1 Mark IIs, the Navy guns,
Yeah.
like before the Army actually adopted them, even. Because the Smelly predates a lot of stuff. 1902 is when it was adopted. But you don't see the
Yeah, well-
standardization on the number 1 Mark III until 1908.
Yep. Well, my 1906 Sparkbrook
Mhm.
with the floating charger bridges like falls right into that crazy
Yep.
category, you know. Sorry, tangent, but very interesting. I gotta look at my guns again.
Yeah, I gotta pull mine out after
Yep.
we've been talking about this because it's been like
I know.
I think I haven't seen mine in like 3 years since I oiled it and put it in a sock, and I haven't been able to shoot it in a while. So
Yep,
Yeah, the
number
Mark.
7
I
cartridge.
actually did pick that up, Devin, because of what
Mhm.
we have talked about when we were hanging out and shit. That is a Mark 7 cartridge, and it's not a
Mhm.
Mark 6. And
That's right.
They weren't using Spitzer bolts.
So Mark 6s are round nose, and the Canadians would have entered the war with round nose Mark 6 ammunition. That's what they had in stock. So the Rosses were all cut for Spitzer ammo, and that's what they would have used in competition and stuff like that. But like as they got through all their new made Spitzer ammo, they would have to drag up older ammunition, and they used a lot of Mark 6 ammo for basically all of 1915. Most of the field ammo was Mark 6, and then they would have switched to British Mark 7 ammo, which is good. And the cool thing about Mark 7 ammo and the difference between Mark 7 and Mark 8 ammo is the Cupro nickel jacket on the bullet rather than copper, which is something you would see with like Mark 8 ammo, which a lot of movies get wrong because you just see the copper tip bullets, which is World War II ammo. So
I am getting so schooled and through right now. Oh my god. Like,
How do you think I feel? I've been with this guy in real life, and he's just telling me all
Yeah.
this shit, and I'm like,
The SMLE is
No,
like
it's
one
very-
of my
it's
favorite
very
guns.
interesting,
I have
yeah.
11 of them. So.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Darren,
I have a
very
question
cool.
for you about an SMLE real quick. Is that actually it wouldn't be an SMLE, it'd be a Mark IV. It was completely scrubbed, I think. Is that a re-arsenal or is that like it has
so-
no crown, no nothing, it's completely gone?
It's a really late one, probably. It's a Fizzackerly build, because after... so when they stopped producing SMLEs, number
Mhm.
4s, it would have been before they actually adopted the SLR, the FAL.
Yeah.
They would have stopped about 1954, but Fizzackerly would get all of the parts from all of the other factories and continue to assemble number 4s just from parts. And oftentimes you just see some electropencil on the side of the receiver. You usually don't see any other markings, because they would have all had different stamps and different markings from like E's from Enfield parts, and like stuff like that,
Right.
or LSA from London Small Arms Company, and they would have just
Right.
assembled them still from remaining parts, and they would have done that until I think it was at 58. So for
Wow.
about 4 years, they just made number 4s from force fitting parts at Fizzackerly. So
Okay. Yeah, there's an L that survives on the lower part of the receiver, and that's about it.
okay.
And I don't know why, and I have been trying to find. I'm gonna have to send you some pictures. now,
Yeah,
because
I'm pretty much
yeah.
guaranteeing it's a Fizzackerly, probably 50s build gun.
Okay, I assumed it was either post-war or was
Yeah.
scrubbed for India, but I wasn't too sure, and I couldn't find anything to support that. So
No, but just on the left side of the
some of
receiver,
those-
you'll see a lot of the Fizzackerly made guns. They are in the
Mhm.
L serial number bracket, so that
Okay.
I'm pretty much 100% sure.
for
It's
sure
a
that would probably be it.
Fizzackerly parts assembled gun.
Okay, I'll have to send you
Would-
pictures of my 1916. So yeah.
Would that fall into the 1950s like blonde stock era of the number 4s, like the really last
It
ones
can be
they made?
both.
Interesting.
You can get walnut stock ones made that late, and you can get beechwood stock ones made that late, because they would have just got all the stocks as well.
Yeah, because I know that like the people go holy grail over like the still in the wrap, like I think RAF contract,
The
really,
mummy
really
wrap
late.
ones, yeah.
Yeah, the 55 or 50 whatever it was ones
Mhm.
that you see, and they had like the blonde stocks.
The
and shit,
number 4 Mark
Interesting.
IIs, because they
Yeah,
have the
yep.
actual receiver hung trigger rather than the trigger guard hung receiver, which was a big problem with why the trigger's so bad on SMLEs, is because they're all hanging off the trigger guard rather than being a part of the receiver, and it really fucks with the harmonics. So that was one thing they really wanted to do, like with the Pattern 14 has it. That was a big problem they saw with the harmonics of the SMLE and they fixed it with the Pattern 14, but it took them until 1952 to start actually receiver mounting the trigger on the SMLEs. So, yeah.
Wow.
So literally post Korean War,
Pretty
we fixed
much,
it.
yeah.
Like,
All right, now here's this foul.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
There's
Oh,
another
is
from
that one
Mark
of
II, yep.
How's the trigger on it feel compared to another one?
It's just a little more responsive. I don't feel much of a difference, but it's a little more responsive.
Oh, I hear a click.
Yeah.
Because an SMLE is kind of lets go, like whenever it
Well,
wants
a
to,
lot,
and especially how worn they are.
because
and
it's a
stuff,
two-stage trigger, but it's still got
Mhm.
some. It's like crisp, but there's a lot of take up with it because it has that transfer.
It's still
that big-
it's so
Yeah.
I would say my my number 4 Mark I Star, my Long Branch Canadian one, it's more spongy in the actual pull once you
Yeah.
get past the first stage.
Yeah.
This one
yep.
is a lot more
I could hear it.
so
Yep.
yeah, it's a lot more crisp. Yeah, like Devin was saying. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Huh. I'm getting fuck the movie. I'm getting fucking schooled on SMLEs and shit. So
Dude, he's getting a hard on right now. Like, yeah.
that's very interesting. Yeah.
Do you have the Brian? What's the Sniper Lee Enfield version?
Oh, the Model T. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm making a
Do-
T
yeah,
clone
do you
right
have
now. Yeah.
do you have
So-
do you have a T?
The only thing that I have that was a sniper rifle at one point was I have my Pattern 14. Started as a Winchester Model T, but it went through the weed repair standard before World War II. You could tell it was a sniper because they would have brazed the scope mounts on, and they just ground all the brazing off. But like they would have put the Winchester is normally marked right on the top of the receiver. So they forgoed that when they made the sniper rifles, and they just put a receiver on the side of the receiver so it didn't get covered up by the scope mount, just the serial number. So it has the W and then the serial number on my Pattern 14, which is how you know it was factory destined to be a sniper rifle, and it was probably assembled into one right at the end of World War One, and then de-sniperized in the Whedon repair standard after World War One. So, unfortunately,
I really want that gun.
I just bought it as like a generic Pattern 14, and then I was like fucking looking at it. I'm like, holy shit, this is a Pattern 14T that just doesn't have the scope on it. And it's like
that's
cool.
Yeah.
We had Brandon Rao on the podcast a few weeks ago. Sorry, Brian. Yeah, and he has a sniping accurizing business and stuff, and he works on like K98s. He fucking bought like 2 high turrets that had the turrets taken off around Gunbroker as K98 with holes in the receiver. And he looked at the pattern and he was like, yeah. And it's like, holy shit. Like they're out there, It's amazing. You just have to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Anyway.
Back to the Lewis gun.
Which is still a dream gun.
That's
someone reach out to me.
That gun's in Star Wars.
I'm gonna even ruined because of Star Wars.
It's a blaster. I know, right?
So there's a part where you can see like into the barrel, and I'm wondering if it's right there. Yeah, if it's some.
So that's normal.
Yep.
That's the normal concept design. Yeah. So that shield is literally like the same thing like an air cool 30 cal is in that.
No, I know. I've never known if you could actually see that far into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The barrel's only like an inch or two back from the muzzle of the shroud. Yeah.
Doesn't it? It doesn't reciprocate. Does the barrel actually reciprocate? Or
no, the barrel doesn't reciprocate. It's just
that's what I thought. Yeah.
The barrel has all those fins coming off of it, and then the jacket just keeps the fins from getting all dinged up, basically. So.
When COVID hit really hard, there was an auction here locally that they were going to do all in person, but then when everything got locked down, people were like retrofitting like online auctions really fast, and there were a lot of people who were attendants, and I just didn't have the money. There was a kit that was torched to fucking hell, but man, I should have bought it. It only went for like $600.
Yeah, that's
and I just couldn't do it at the time because all my work got canceled. It was like, fuck.
Yes, the Vickers Mark 1.
Sitting there.
Yep. It's a recruiting tool.
Fighting the godless Hun.
I do like that propaganda poster though right there.
Fight the godless Hun. Yeah, there was one that said like wear khaki or something. Like where's your khaki?
Again, it's like what the fuck? You have so many things that were good about this, like the details, and you fucked it.
Like that guy in his tartan suit walking into the tent on the left side of the screen there, in case anyone missed that. Very Canadian there.
Hey. I'm a snake oil salesman from Calgary.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
the 18-pounder.
Interesting looking guns.
I did like
pounders.
the way they showed them, like they loaded it, they moved it, they engaged with it. It was cool, but then the gun doesn't fucking move, which
because it was I think they were a CGI muzzle flash thing coming out of them.
That or it was like cannon, you know what I mean? Like you just shoot the charge and nothing.
Just throw some gunpowder in it.
The Mills bomb, yeah.
Why were these called Mills bombs? Okay, so there was different models of them too and everything.
Two primary versions used in World War One. There's the really really early ones, which you only see for about the first year for basically 1915, and
do they have like like you have to hit them on something or something? I know they had different.
Yeah, and they just weren't reliable, so they went to the standard kind of arrangement of a spring, and
It's got a grenade.
Yes, the broom handle.
The most German gun in World War One besides the Luger.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Deutsche? I'm going to shoot off your leg.
Grab a rifle.
Look at that shitty Chinese. The
Right.
guy on the left, his shitty Chinese reproduction,
helmet.
1960
Helmet.
Oh,
Because you can see,
yeah,
like,
right?
for the sergeant who has the most screen time, his probably isn't real, but it's better. But you can see the transition from the skirt to the dome. You don't see those on.
There's literally a
actual
line.
ones. Yeah.
The fact that it's
No,
wet
yeah.
is not
it's
helping
also,
us out as well either.
Small,
You know,
too small for his head.
hmm
I will say this though, it's better
Yeah.
than a duck bill.
Well, and you saw
Not
a
by
number of
much.
Germans also just wearing
But-
their field caps, not even their helmets.
The Mauser model,
Yeah.
1938.
I'm
Yep.
gonna
Wait.
ask.
You go up, go up.
What?
Look at that helmet though, Birch.
Oh, they're horse shit. I'm absolute fucking. And also, okay,
Mike's back, by the way.
no, that helmet on the left is absolutely fucking. These helmets were atrocious, and like, if you. Is there any more pictures of like close-ups of like these helmets?
Well, I'm sure.
Not
I'm
really.
Sure if
They're
we
kind
go-
of
we're,
blurry
we're about
pictures.
to we're about to do all the Germans firearms.
You could
right
probably
now, so I'm
see
sure
some
we're
of them
gonna see more.
in the rifle section.
Yeah, so
Coming
a
up
C96, yeah, it's fine, but like, again, this officer. Well, actually, he's not an officer. He's not wearing any
Sergeant.
fucking insignia. He's not going to be shooting a fucking C96 during an assault. That's a last resort thing. A sidearm. Jesus fucking Christ! I hate this shit in films.
It's because they got a C96, so they wanted to show it.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, this is Han
Turkish
Solo's fucking
1938s.
rifle. Yeah. Again. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna comment on this. Turkish. They use Model 38s. Lazy as
There's some more helmets.
fuck. These helmets are all like extremely shitty. That one is, dude. The one in the middle is a duckbill, and the one,
Look at the one on the left.
dude. These are these shitty fucking Indian
Chinese.
repros that were coming out. No, and Chinese.
What about the right?
Yeah.
What about the right? The
It's a
right one
shitty
looks better
repro.
than the left.
If you
Yeah, but it looks better. But it looks better than this
if
No,
you
one.
it
look
doesn't.
Closely, if you look
They're the same.
closely at the one in the center, you can see the light source that they're using on the left side of his
Exactly.
helmet. Yeah, right
Yes.
there.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
'cause
the one on the
yeah.
right, dude, zoom in again. The one on the right.
It's missing
I
a
was
split
just
pin,
gonna
isn't
say
it?
that.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's missing
Oh,
that.
boy.
The fucking shape is
There's no
completely
chin strap.
fucking
None of
wrong.
them are using chin straps.
Well, and we're gonna get into the chin strap shit that you see on camera. Also, Turkish M38, not good. Yeah, this is a huge gripe that I fucking had. They didn't even fucking try with the German
for the
uniforms.
Germans, yeah.
Is he wearing what's he wearing? Is those Y straps?
Yeah.
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 Yep.
No.
We all know how.
Yeah, not
correct
good
those
in
are.
World War
right
One.
there.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are World War II Y straps.
No, they're go up. They're no, they're just fake.
Yeah.
They're just
There's,
leather
there's no D
straps.
loops, so they're not. World
Yeah.
War II.
It's like, what the fuck are you? And then also okay, this is late 1917, okay?
Mhm.
There is no fucking brass in the German army.
Yeah.
Oh,
At
it's
this
sli-
point.
Yeah, right there.
And the guy
Would have all been
behind
painted
him,
steel, yeah.
yeah. There was an order that came in early 1915 that said
Yeah,
you
the
will
Germans look
fucking
like
darken all of your
dog
leather.
shit.
You will fucking paint your buttons. Anything brass needs to be painted with what? Yeah, again, Y straps
Yeah,
and
the
the
Y
fucking
straps.
helmets. Dude, again, these helmets are completely fucking. They're plastic.
Yeah.
They have to be because the shape is not even close to an original Stahlhelm. Not even close.
The one on the right looks like it dips in.
They both dip in.
You see, like it.
Yeah,
it's
but like look at both of them. They both dip in. Anyway, yeah.
These are separate machine guns because they're different people in both ones.
Yep.
Also, Vimy Ridge was early 16, right, Devin?
Something like that, yeah.
Mike A, it's the same machine gun. It's just the left side.
Yeah,
Oh,
on
it's
the
just
right
the guy.
side of
Okay,
the gun.
never mind.
And all
So-
their helmets are way too small for them.
Yeah. So Devin, at Vimy Ridge, do you know this? Like, if you don't know it, it's fine. But like, were the Germans wearing Stahlhelme at that point, or were they still
Yeah.
wear? Oh, they were.
There would have been Psalms there.
Okay. I was just okay. So the guy. Well, no, it's leather. Never mind. Don't. I'm done. I don't because I can sit there and ramble about this shit for hours about like the German.
Why is it?
I thought it was a bread bag strap.
Nate, we're running out of air here.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
I thought it was a bread bag strap, but it's a leather
Running
strap that's
out
got
of
mud on
air.
it. Yeah, not good. So the Krupp, 10.5 centimeter.
That looks like a CGI shot.
Leichter Feldhaubitze 16. Yeah.
That was next to the Canadian cross.
I did like I
Canadian
did like
Christ.
this. Okay, so they had the Minenwerfer, right?
Yep.
They didn't portray it correctly, but like the fact that it was actually there and used quite a bit, and it was a fucking bitch. That thing was a nasty,
Very dangerous.
nasty
Yep.
fucking
Very
weapon.
heavy trench mortar. Yeah.
Yep, and it inflicted a lot of casualties. And then with the 9 point,
It's just
Huh?
sitting there.
This
I actually have no idea what the fuck this thing is.
the Soviets had a version of that in the Second World War that shot glass balls and
Mhm.
exploded.
Ugh.
Damn, that would be fucking hell.
Shit, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
perplexed by this one. So yeah, I have no idea. So
All done.
Well, someone who set up who dressed the set brought that as a cool set piece.
Yep.
yeah,
I got
right.
this
It's
hunk
like
of
a
iron
dumb,
in my
strong
garage.
kind of guy.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Put it out on the battlefield.
Found in the fields of Calgary.
yeah.
So awesome. Well, I think that it is now time to decide what this movie is and what
It's a
rating
piece
it
of
should
fucking shit. That's what it is.
And it had so much fucking potential.
Yeah, $20 million worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, if you gave our retarded asses $20 million to make a movie about the Battle of Passchendaele,
Be
I
fucking great.
guarantee you.
All
I
the fucking filthy bunker sex we could ever get. in
Yeah,
our
that's right.
lives. Are you-
Somewhere in the fields of somewhere in the nords of what the fuck am I saying? Somewhere in the fields of northern France, there was some thirsty Canadian nurse looking for that mud dick. So
That's
right.
Oh my god. Oh.
saying, Anyway,
Look, Devin, open this up like she did in the bunker, okay? Let's knock this out.
plunge into that bitch.
Yeah, let's plunge into this. Let's plunge into the deep end here.
Spreads like mayo.
Oof. It's like a bulldog that just got done
Red-
eating mayonnaise. Yeah. It's not good.
Oh god.
Gross, just like Paul.
I'm bringing
Devin,
That's
Devin,
right.
Devin. Everybody else,
Plunge.
Plunge like the
Okay.
ocean view
All right.
Titanic sinking
All right.
right now.
I'm gonna-
Plunge.
You got
I'm gonna
12,500 feet. Let's
I'm
go.
gonna
Come
plunge.
on.
Jump into the billionaire pillbox. Let's go.
Let's start vomiting to come up.
I'll plunge 17 inches of steel into the child's forehead of this movie.
That looks about 16 and
Yeah,
3/4.
16
to me,
and
but,
3/4
That's
inches
by
of-
eye.
of steel
17.2, please.
This is
round
into
up.
the
Okay.
child's forehead that is this movie. It's pretty awful overall. Don't watch it.
Child's
It's
forehead.
yeah. This is terrible. You're not missing much by not watching it. You could watch any other stupid C-list war movie and it's the same thing. Just replace the uniforms, but like replace the uniforms with actual Canadian ones, and you'll have this movie and it'll be fine. It'll be better because it'll have actual Canadian uniforms. But it's overall it's not worth it to watch. Like I was telling them, I'm the only one that actually owns this movie. I have it on Blu-ray, and it had a $1 sticker on it, and I had never taken the plastic off of it before needing to watch it again as a refresher for this podcast.
Do you even remember how you obtained that?
No,
Do you want to forget how you
I
obtained
mean
it?
I'm probably gonna get rid of it honestly after this at some point because
Going
it's
into
just a
the
waste of
garbage.
space. But
Didn't you say you
We should raffle it off
Did-
to an unlucky winner of the podcast.
Didn't you say you have Hyena Road too?
I do have Hyena Road as well. Yeah,
He's
Yeah.
got the whole
I
gross
have both
collection.
Paul Gross movies. I do.
yeah.
That's right. I just got to get the Man with Brooms one now, and we're all set. So, but it's just not a great movie. It's
It's
not
like-
worth it to watch.
Not to keep bringing it up, but there's like this guy called the Titanic guy, and he has all the Titanic VHSs. Like we should do that with this. Let's buy all the Passchendaele
Passchendaele
DVDs that
DVDs and
exist,
Blu-rays,
and then
yeah.
like let's shoot them into the sun. Let's send them to the challenge of deep.
That's right.
Let's do something productive.
Add them to the plastic continent
Think
in the
of-
Pacific Ocean.
Build a house.
Think of all the
build a house
pollution that we'd be saving. I call it the
Yeah.
Passion House.
Yeah. Use them as insulation.
We'll make a giant love hotel out of it.
Gross.
It's all World War I themed. This is the mud room. But
Oh,
So what's your rating, Devin?
Negative 16 million.
Whoa.
Because that's how much he lost on the movie.
He has to do math.
So-
now.
So
Brian has to add that up.
So what would that be? What would that be realistically? 1 to
I'm gonna
10?
convert that to a 0
Yeah.
or a 0.1.
realistically, I'd give it like a 2. I mean, if you have nothing better, if you watched every other terrible movie and you just haven't seen this one yet, and you have 2 hours to kill, there you go. It gets a 2 because that's how much hours of your life you're gonna lose watching this.
It's free on YouTube.
It's labeled under
But it's still 2 hours on YouTube.
Passchendaele documentary. If you
Mhm.
want to watch it on YouTube, that's what's on there.
So that Gross doesn't find it and get rid of
Yeah.
it.
It's on Amazon for free currently.
I
too,
watched it
so.
on YouTube for free. It was just like a.
I watched it on Amazon. And it's got
I-
4.5 stars on Amazon with 25 reviews. So they all were from the cast of fucking Passchendaele, probably, because no fucking real true person would fucking rate that 5 stars.
So who do you pass the Battle of Passchendaele to?
Let's go to Nate.
You want me to hate fuck this? 'Cause
I do.
will. Okay.
As long as you
It's
do it
just-
as quickly and concisely as Paul
It
Gross
can-
did. in
it-
the movie.
On a rickety
it-
table in the rain.
I can finish as fast as Paul Gross in the bunker. There we
Okay,
go.
there we go.
So this movie is a piece of shit because the first movie we did was Hyena Road. I believe I said it's a piece of shit too, and that's all I said for my ending quote. This is a terrible fucking movie. It's awful. It really truly is. Personally, I'd rather watch I think our worst rated one, which is Stalingrad 2013, than this. Yeah, I would. I mean, it's as even bad too, but I mean, here's the thing. I was viscerally angry with Hyena Road. This I was just annoyed because it's already hurt me once before, so I just knew what to expect. It saddens me, but there is an effort. And I see it from everyone else who is not Paul Gross. So, because of that, this movie is a hunk of shit. And no one should ever fucking watch it ever to give Paul Gross any more fucking money in his life. Because he's negative $16 million. He's negative $16 million, so don't give him anything. He needs to recoup it. And I'm going to give this a 3 out of 10. Only because it had really good sets, really good extras in the back, had really cool, details that you don't normally see in very high budget World War I films. And I think for that reason alone, it's a 3 out of 10 Screaming Mel Gibsons. So that's where I end it. And I finished about the time Paul Gross did. So Brian, go for it.
Wow, you're gonna give me the hot potato.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Look, I could rant even more about everything I fucking hate about this, but I don't want to bore
It's
people.
not worth the effort.
Because hate
it's
fucking
fine.
hate
I
fucking
mean,
even gets boring after while you're hate fucking, so it's fine, you know.
Well, it's like there's not a lot that I can add because we've really gone over it all. I mean, yeah, I mean, he is the Canadian Tommy Wiseau.
Well, that's
You know,
really
in a lot of
really
ways.
insulting.
Oh, hi, Paul.
So is
yeah.
so is the
I
movie.
mean, that's
you know?
really
It's like
But is it
Well,
wrong?
I mean,
No.
there.
he's
No,
not as,
no, it's
he's
not.
not as a mysterious weirdo as Tommy Wiseau.
No,
well,
he's just an
that's the thing.
arrogant
The thing-
prick.
Yeah. So he's more like
The
he's
thing,
more like a lot of other directors. But okay, so whatever. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's like Tommy Wiseau has that mystique about him, which makes him like, what the fuck is going on? This guy, like Nate said, is just an egotistical asshole who's like trying to write himself into every movie.
It's like
he
someone
can.
who jerks himself
You
off
know?
in front of a fucking mirror. You know, it's just like that. That's what I see in Paul Gross. He stands in front of a fucking mirror and jerks himself off and enjoys
Probably.
it. And that's everything I see. in
onto a Canadian flag.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
you know-
yeah.
it's tattooed in the middle of his chest, a giant
Yeah.
maple leaf. No,
Which, by the way, you also never see one in the movie, probably because he doesn't actually know what the World War I's supposed to look like.
I would have him sign my tits though. You know.
No,
But,
your neck. That's where all the tattoos go, Brian.
And also,
that's
Brian,
right,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have tits.
hell yeah, brother. So not compared to
Yeah,
you,
I know.
you know.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
probably have.
I would have loved it if in this movie they showed a
He got more tits than the fucking nurse in this movie, dude.
if they showed like a blackish. Oh man, wait, what'd you just say?
Mike has more tits than the nurse in this movie.
That was a
You're
flat
not
chest.
wrong.
Mike's
That
tits
was a
are
flat
wrong.
chest.
Mike's
Can I
tits
just
are.
say I was a little
No,
stunned
good.
when I saw that. I didn't know the movie was going to include nudity. I was like, oh,
Tits, yeah,
okay.
we got tits in there.
I was surprised
Yeah,
too.
but-
You know.
This
Yeah.
did not seem like it was going that route, but okay. Paul Gross is
yeah.
gross.
B cup. You know, way it goes. But yeah. So I don't know. It's just it was really hard to watch, and I mean honestly, and I don't want to get on a tangent here, but it's just really sad that there's no good films about the Canadian military. I mean, there's maybe one or two we've yet to watch. The Storming Juno, which I've heard is interesting. I haven't seen it. That's about Canadian storming Juno Beach. But it's just I don't. It's annoying.
Can we have Devin on for a movie that doesn't suck ass?
No,
Because I'd
not
love,
possible.
I'd love to like go more in depth into all the shit we learned. You know,
Want to come on Downfall? Or we could do another Commonwealth film. You can do like Dunkirk or something. That'd be
We
cool.
could do something
Yeah.
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, anything in the Commonwealth world. But no, it's really it pisses me off because again, there should be, in my opinion, there should be a good movie about everyone's nation. It doesn't matter the war, but at least one good one. And there's not a good one for the Canadians. There's about 35,000 Finnish war movies that are amazing, and then there's none about Canada. And like you had said, earlier, Devin, it's the second biggest country in the world.
Yeah,
And you have this fucking, nothing. No representation at all. What you have is this fucking horrible piece of shit that's made by an egotistical fuck who's trying to prop himself up and basically stand on these guys.
It's a whole country
And it
that's
just-
never been attacked by anybody in the whole world, like formally, but still manages to
we
fight in like
attacked
every
you.
conflict.
we attacked you.
Yeah, and we burned the White House down, so deal with it. So,
fair.
and threw a rager on the front yard with everyone from Washington D.C. and everyone had a great time, and then
Fair.
we all shook hands and went home. So
It's like a dude in the background riding off on a horse with the Constitution and like everything else.
I just wanted to make sure that was noted because
Yeah. But like, there hasn't really been in modern times a whole. Canada's been participated in every single conflict the United States has participated in since the Revolution, and they have answered the call to so many giant world conflicts without even being attacked. A lot of people don't even know this. They declared war on the Japanese before the Americans did, and they weren't even attacked. And they step up to the plate every time, and they lose a huge portion of their young adult male population and every conflict, and they get nothing to show for it.
And even the Vietnam War, there were Canadians that went to America to serve, and fight over
And
there.
they
So
also helped the
Canadians-
NBA, but we don't talk about that.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
They were kind of like
Well,
Sweden, where they were like,
Mm.
America's
Well,
just
that's big-
Bullying an underdeveloped Asian country. So-
I want to pick that up another time. That's very
Yeah.
interesting. So, but no, I mean, it really makes me mad in a way because it's like, again, there should be one good film about countries, servicemen, and there isn't one for Canada, and it's sad. And no, Paul Gross should feel bad for what he made. He made this convoluted, stupid fucking movie about nothing. That's
About a
completely
love
wrong.
story in Calgary.
And just like what the fuck, just make fucking I don't know, Brokeback Calgary, put
Pretty
it back
much.
40 years, make it 1880s. Like there's no reason to make this set during the First World War or mention Passchendaele. Like all you're bringing these guys into this for clout,
Mhm.
and it's just fuck you.
It's because it's funded
So,
by the
I mean-
Alberta Government Something Society, which is in the beginning, and the Cattle Something of Something in the beginning of the fucking movie.
Yeah,
Yeah. Never got.
you got to get your funding somehow. But I mean, just that being said and everything, I mean, I don't know. It really pisses me off that there's not a good Canadian film, and that the one guy that purports himself to do it is a piece of shit. So, that being said, I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 10. Is this fucking horrible? Don't watch it. Don't waste your fucking time. Watch a documentary. If you want to get fucked up and like have a drinking game to this, like wherever they, I want to put some foreign object in you, drink, like that'd be great. This is a great drinking game movie. I'll say that. But if you want to get any kind of like enjoyment or relaxation,
Historical
or
context.
pleasure, or anything out of
you
this,
won't get it.
yeah, wrong fucking place. You'll just get mad, and if you're drinking, you'll just get blackout. So it's not even a movie; it's a thing. So
That's the pull quote on the DVD.
I don't know.
It's not even a movie; it's a thing.
Yeah,
It's not
like,
even a movie. It's a thing.
it's people talking in rooms, that apparently can fucking teleport all the way across an ocean, in like 20 minutes. So blink
Let me
there,
tell you what the
blink there.
sticky wicket is there, Brian. Okay? We have to make you
Yeah,
sound British. So sticky wicket.
Yeah, I was, extraordinarily bored in this movie. And it's interesting when it comes to stuff like this. When I see a movie, this movie particularly, I say something which you should never say about historical events, which is, why the fuck should I care? And that's when I watch this, I'm like, why should I even give a shit about anything that's happening? And so yeah, it just begs the question as to why this was made, to called Passchendaele, set in Passchendaele towards the end, I guess, and it's not even remotely about it. Like I say, it could just be any fucking battle. It's just like, if you would just cut to there and it just says the trenches of France, I'd be like, okay, whatever,
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, it's like it's just World War I battle. It doesn't even have anything too extraordinarily unique about it that would tell the story of the real Passchendaele, the real battle. So that sucks. And yeah, like 90% of the movie is just about dumb shit I don't care about. This stupid love story. I'm not a person who hates love stories, but like a lot of war movies, there are many that are so goddamn formulaic and cliche. And that's what this was. Like, right the second he sees her face, I'm just like, I know where this is going. Yeah, I agree. And so, and eventually, like, I just had it on my second screen playing, and I was just starting to do other things because I was just so goddamn bored. Yeah, I don't know what Paul Gross's deal is, other than trying to promote himself as being this auteur filmmaker who is this Canadian patriot. So anyway, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 10 as well. I don't ever want to see it again. And that leaves you.
I like how
Till we strap you in a chair like Clockwork Orange.
I can't.
And then it's
I can't believe Midway has a lower score in this than you gave what you just gave this.
Okay, do you want me to give it a lower?
No. Once you said your score, you can't go lower or higher.
You've already
revisionist history.
You've already said it. I'm not trying to make you check.
Okay.
I'm just shocked that you think, fucking Jonah Brothers actor gets worse fucking Jonas. Thank you.
Jonah
is the whale.
Yeah,
Jonah and the whale. Yeah, the Jonas Brothers actor gets a worse rating than fucking Paul
I think it's just
Gross.
because that movie just made me, for some reason, more angry. This one I was just kind of like, I knew what I was getting into,
Yes. No. I agree. There's a lot of things that I liked that he didn't do because he's probably too stupid to fucking realize it, and he didn't want to spend the money because he wanted it all for himself. There was no gas attacks. Okay? And that's something that's a trope with every fucking World War I film basically ever, right? Gas attacks. And at this point, it was being used. They mentioned it. He goes, yeah, we use gas too. I did respect the fact that he did not put that shit in there. Okay. Besides that, it was a fucking steaming hunk of shit.
It's the only good thing to say about it.
No, seriously, like that honestly speaking is like that. I appreciated the fact that he didn't like put a giant like dramatic gas attack in the entire film. Like, cause like you guys, we've watched a lot of World War I films. We've seen a lot of these films and whatever, and they always have a gas attack in them. Because that's the psychological kind of fuckery of World War I is gas. And they also didn't have gas mask bags on. Devin, did you catch that? So, okay, I just want to riff off of Devin really quick. They would have had SBRs, right? The British ones. How would they have carried them?
So it's a bag. It's about this big. It's about as wide as your chest. It's about this tall, and you wear it around your neck. So that way you could just undo this flap. It was in a chemically protected bag. So you just undo this flap, and you pull it out and put it on. And it had this big tube that would come down to a filter that would sit at the bottom of the bag, right on your chest. So
they didn't have a single fucking SBR
Gas
in
mask in
this.
the whole movie.
Because after like late 15, all the Commonwealth forces would have had those.
Mm-hmm.
So
Some form of gas mask. You would have seen the chemical hoods behind the
Yes.
lines and stuff, but
Yep.
you would see frontline people would start having SBRs pretty quickly.
And so while I appreciate the fact that he didn't do that trope, you missed a very important piece of equipment on everybody, among other things that you fucked up.
At least everybody was wearing a helmet.
Some of the Germans were wearing their hats.
Well, that
See that?
Jesus Christ, that was bullshit too. Is because
Morty.
yeah, I'm getting there. But no, Germans wearing their hats in the combat. Jesus fucking Christ, I hate that shit. No, you're gonna be wearing your fucking helmet because you're in combat. Even literally, I think we've done this on the podcast, but like if it's your first time listening to this, in World War I and II, if a fucking German field marshal was down on the lines looking over that shit, that field marshal will be wearing his, decked out uniform and all that shit with a fucking helmet on. That's part of your fucking gear. And as a private, nobody's going to allow you to wear a fucking Feldmütze into combat. Or when you're even like on the line. There's no fucking way. So a lot of that shit, it's like, again, I'll try to keep this quick, but I want to go on a fucking rant because it's so fucked up. Like, it pisses me off. This fucking film pisses me off so fucking much. And it's like, okay, so you spend $20 million. You have $20 million at your disposal. You might have advisors that give you, okay, this is what the Germans were wearing or what we think they were wearing. You can't figure out that they didn't wear fucking field caps into combat.
Well, they couldn't even figure out that they had to have G98s.
Yeah, yes. That's, I didn't want to think about that, but like now, yeah, okay, so they got some things right. The acting was okay in a lot of places. And you still came out with this steaming hunk of shit because you're too fucking lazy to actually research what went on. Just like Hyena Road. That was not the Canadian experience in Afghanistan. And you spent that, you got that much money and you still fucked it up. And this is the first one and you lost 16 million and then somehow you're still making films? Jesus fucking Christ. So I think it's a fucking personal insult from Polly to the Canadian soldiers who fought and died and or were wounded or just fought there.
In Calgary, Alberta.
I think it's a fucking personal insult for him as a Canadian to make something this fucking shitty about one of the biggest fucking battles the Canadian forces have ever faced in their lives. I think it's just fucking, it pisses me off. It was so shitty and it was like, nobody gives a fuck about a goddamn love story. And yeah, you had so much opportunity because the Passchendaele set, that set was not bad at all. Like they had the toothpick trees, just the mud, the craters, and you chose to make that 20 minutes out of your fucking shitty 2-hour film. Fuck you. Fuck that. No, seriously, it's an insult.
I'm listening. It's fine.
Yeah, this gets a because of the fact that a lot of the actors did okay. The set was fucking great at the end. It was about as close as you can get to what Passchendaele was, and the fucking plot with the crucifixion. Jesus Christ, man. No pun intended. Actually, I just realized what I said. Yeah, okay. Anyway, but no, that shit, because of the other efforts that were put into it and the set and everything everybody else did that wasn't involved with your fucking selfish ass, 2 out of 10. You fucked so many people over.
Putting all the numbers into the computer that will tell us, A, if the Battle of Passchendaele will be won, and B, if Paul Gross actually is a horrible person. We get a rating of 2. Nate, Is this the lowest film?
I believe so, because I think Stalingrad 2013 has a 2.3.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the Paul Gross fan club. We're very glad that
Nah,
we
fuck
can have
him.
you here for
Fuck him.
our initial meeting. And yeah, I guess there's not a lot else to say.
I don't think he has
It's
any
a
more
really...
Canadian war films on the horizon, so I think...
I thought he has 2 more in the works.
Right now?
Oh, no.
shit.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I just kidding.
No.
Oh, fuck you, Devin.
Oh, dude, I was about to look this up. No, I don't think he has anything
Jesus.
else in the hopper.
Good.
No, I
fuck
think he's
him.
retired now, so.
Yeah, fuck him. He's a fucking. Oh, it just pisses me off so much.
One more.
Right. Let's do Passchendaele 2. Electric Boogaloo.
That's right.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Right, you know?
Passchendaele 2
Yeah.
from the grave.
No. It's seriously, this
God.
is one of the most egregious fucking not just a flop, but like an insult.
Yeah. Well, and it
That we've
wasn't,
watched.
It wasn't a success. It was a flop. I mean, look how much money he lost.
I know, but like
It's
it's
true.
an insult.
Yeah.
It goes
It
beyond a flop. It's like an insult to the CEF that was there and actually went through this shit. And then to title it, yeah. Anyway, I'm being redundant, I know, but like it viscerally pissed me off watching this fucking horse shit. Make a fucking romance movie or make a fucking film about a battle that took place. You can't do both.
Well, a lot has been said tonight. And this is probably one of the only films I'll ever say don't watch.
Yeah, don't watch it. It's a waste of fucking
Don't
time.
watch it.
It's completely a waste of your time. And Devin, I hope we didn't waste your time by having you on tonight. I learned a
Oh
lot.
no, I planned quite a while for this. So I'm looking forward to after this going able to eat my first meal of the day and doing some chores.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for your time, dude. We look forward to having you on again. And let's do Storming Juno. Let's see if there's actually is a good Canadian war film, you know?
Yeah.
And,
Hopefully.
I think that'd be pretty cool to take a look at. And awesome. Well, thanks for listening, guys. And I will leave you with a quote from the master and maestro, Mr. Gross himself. Said by his character in the movie, "I'm not a good storyteller." Until that, we'll see you guys next week.
How appropriate.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a rating. Otherwise, Mel Gibson won't stop screaming. If you like this content, make sure to check out our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. If you want to directly support our work, make sure to check out our Patreon. All these links are in the description below. Until the next time, Scuttlebutt out.
Dude, this is the first and probably now the last movie Molly will watch with me.
Oh shit!
Yeah, you made her do this.
That was a mistake.
You knew
Oh, so
what you were
Well,
getting
she was
yourself
hearing me
into.
groan, and she's like, what's up? I'm like, I'll move, I'll go downstairs. And she's like, well, no, I'll watch it with her. I'm like, it's gonna be bad. And she's like, I don't care, it'll be fine. Like, and then
No.
it got to like the fucking like emotional, like him going like, and then I stabbed a boy with 17 inches in the forehead. Yeah, and I got the medal from stabbing 17 inches into a boy's forehead. And it double repeats. She went, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah. It's the same line
She
said
was like,
twice.
"What
Yeah.
the fuck is this?" And then it came to like the Jesus crucifixion carry across the field,
Oh,
and she was
no.
like,
Fucking shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
That's
Shut up.
That's just yeah.
We
Tell
gotta-
that
we gotta-
story
yeah,
in the
Yeah,
podcast.
we got a fucking pod to do.
All right, okay.
Don't.
"Sorry, all right, let's sync up."